Am I audible now? Yeah, I guess I can see that. So yeah, so a very good evening to all of you, and I just need to repeat whatever I said because it was not audible. Good evening, people. Good evening, everyone out there. So we have already conducted 2 classes, and I am hoping that things have started falling in place. Am I audible now? Right? अब तो voice आ रही है ना? I am audible, right? ठीक है? Yeah, so fine. Thankfully, I am audible now. So the thing is that it might happen. See, I'll tell you honestly, I am also from a science background, right? So just for the information, I have also done my post-graduation and graduation in mathematics. So when this journey started, at that point of time, it was slightly challenging to get into the groove of humanity subject. My journey started in 2008, right? And even today, after so many years, I'm still in the process of learning and observing what is happening around, right? So it will take time. Obviously, that doesn't mean that you have to travel the journey of like 10 years. That is not what I'm trying to say. I am just trying to say, just be patient in case you are not understanding. In case, if you are understanding, good enough. In case you are not understanding, then ask me what specific doubts you have. One thing. Second thing, what can be done is that just revise whatever being taught to you so that once it becomes part and parcel of your everyday vocabulary, then slowly and gradually application would be very natural for you. So applying those concepts would no longer be a challenge. तो उतना थोड़ा सा हमको ध्यान देने का जरूरत है. Otherwise, thing will be easier. ठीक है. So how we are going to proceed today? I'll do a quick revision of what we have done in the previous class, and then I'll be proceeding with the caste system. I have to discuss those 2 questions with you today, and I'm hoping that you guys have practiced those 2 questions. So let's start with that. So first, let me do an overview of what we have discussed in the previous class. I need to see the response portal so that I get to know that whether I am audible and students are understanding everything or not. Very quickly, let's start. Okay? So first thing that we need to talk about is, or what we discussed in the previous class was family as a concept. I'll just revisit all of that in another 5 minutes. We discussed family is defined as a social group which consists of people who are united by the ties of blood, marriage, adoption. This is the definition for any family, right? Then I said that if I have to specifically define what constitute joint family, I can say family which is extended for 2 or more generation. Then we said any family for that matter is characterized by certain features: common residence, economic cooperation, sexual gratification, reproduction, etc. Then we talked about different types of family on the basis of different parameters, whether it was on the basis of marriage, whether ancestry, whether residence, or whether composition. Within that, we have talked about that how under the impact of globalization, family which used to be a straight monogamous family has now been transformed into a serial monogamous family. Then we did discuss the examples with respect to polygamous family, whether it is polygyny or polyandry. Then we discussed about the residence aspect. For example, patrilocality, matrilocality, neolocality. A simple understanding says when after marriage, women goes to husband's house, it is patrilocal. When women is staying in her own house, matrilocal. But because of globalization, there are so many diverse job opportunities which are created that after marriage, both husband and wife are going to altogether a new residence, which is neither the residence of the husband nor the residence of the wife. Is that clear? So that new residence concept which is emerging after marriage these days because of globalization is basically known as neolocal families. Is that clear? Then with respect to ancestry, we talked about patrilineality and matrilineality. And on the basis of composition, it is either joint family or it is nuclear families. Is that very clear? Then we discussed about features of typical Indian joint family: patriarchy, patrilineality, patrilocality, common residence, commensality, common sharing of property, then how blood relations are more important than marital relations. Okay, how sex and age are the main ordering principles of family hierarchy. We have done all of that. Okay. Then we discussed about the functions and dysfunctions. Now, many of you might have confusion. What do you exactly mean by functions and dysfunctions? So in last class, we did mention about it. Functions is the positive role which the family as an institution is performing in the society. As in what role family is performing so as to contribute to peace, harmony, integration in the society is known as the functional aspect of the family. Is that very clear for everyone? ठीक है? So that is functional. Functional मतलब फिर repeat कर देती हूं अगर doubt है कि the positive role which an institution, in this case it is family, the positive role which that institution is performing for the society. अब वो positive role किसी भी capacity में हो सकता है. It can be with respect to integration in society, it can be with respect to harmony, peace in the society. तो functional क्या है? फैमिली का रोल, उसे फंक्शंस कहते हैं. जैसे प्राइमरी सोशलाइजेशन, एजेंसी ऑफ सोशल कंट्रोल, एजेंसी ऑफ सोशल इंश्योरेंस. डिड यू गेट माय पॉइंट? ठीक है ना. फिर हमने बात करा हाउ इट प्रोवाइड्स यू सोशल स्टेटस इन द सोसाइटी, हाउ इट प्रोवाइड्स यू सेंस ऑफ आइडेंटिटी, बिलोंगिंगनेस. आप किस फैमिली को बिलोंग करते हो, to which family you belong to, it gives you an identity in the larger society. So that is a sense of belongingness, sense of identity. So it gives you, it addresses that feeling of anxiety. You are not being left in no man's land. There is some entity which is going to take care of you. That is your फैमिली. एक सेंस ऑफ सिक्योरिटी आती है. तो वो जो पर्सनल एंजाइटी, डिस्ट्रेस, ऑल ऑफ दैट इज बीइंग टेकन केयर ऑफ. इमोशनल सपोर्ट इन द टाइम ऑफ क्राइसिस, हु प्रोवाइड्स दैट? फैमिली. राइट. कई बार ऐसा होता है दैट दिस कैपिटलिस्ट सोसाइटी इज क्रिएटिंग सो मच ऑफ वर्क प्रेशर, एलियनेशन, एक्सपेक्टेशंस आर सो हाई दैट यू आर अंडर सिवियर डिस्ट्रेस, यू आर अंडर सिवियर एंजाइटी, स्ट्रेस. सो यू माइट गेट एलियनेटेड फ्रॉम द सोसाइटी, you might resort to some deviant activities. So in this situation of crisis, who comes to our aid? Family. And not only it is providing us the support, it is also helping society at large. सोचो कल को आप भी deviant हो जाओ, मैं भी deviant हो जाऊं, we all are resorting to deviant activities, criminal activities. Do you think that society would remain stable? Do you think India, for that matter, if we are talking about Indian society, it would remain coherent, it would remain harmonious, it would remain peaceful? No. So who is helping resorting that problem? Family. Is this very clear for everyone? ठीक है ना. So these are nothing but the functional aspect. Economic cooperation, obviously this we have discussed. ठीक. Then dysfunctions. तो भाई प्रिवेसी नहीं होती है, विमेन का स्टेटस लो होता है, हाई फर्टिलिटी रेट होता है, लो स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ लिविंग होता है. दीज आर सर्टन बेसिक डिसफंक्शंस. डिसफंक्शंस एज इन द नेगेटिव रोल व्हिच अ जॉइंट फैमिली इज परफॉर्मिंग. Not only that, we discussed the concept of self-alienation. We discussed the concept of reproduction of social labor. We discussed the concept of ghettoization. I think somebody was finding it difficult to understand ghettoization. I'm just asking. See, ghettoization is a process, ठीक है, which leads to creation of ghettos. Simple. Ghettoization is a process through which it gets created what? Ghettos. Now, ghettos is a small community or a small isolated area within the larger society based on certain common criteria. If that ghetto is, let us say, based on your socio-economic profile, your income, slum is an example. If that ghetto is based on your caste, let us say, so if you belong to a rural area or if you've ever been to rural area or small towns, you would have seen कि आपके टाउन में या आपके विलेज में हमेशा एक ऐसा ghetto होता है which is inhabited by, let us say, lower caste people or it is inhabited by higher caste people. वैसे higher caste वाले को ghetto नहीं कहते. Ghetto is always being called for lower caste people because those lower caste people has been isolated. Is this very clear? ठीक है. Now ghettos can be a forceful isolation also. Ghettos can also be voluntary isolation. For example, nowadays there is a new concept which is emerging, like gated communities, jahan pe all the upper middle class and upper class, they are living in isolation from rest of the society. So there also the ghetto has been created based on higher standard of living. Similarly, joint family also results into building or setting up of a ghetto which is consisting of all those individuals who belong to that particular family. Is that clear? And ghettoization is that process. So when the ghettos are created, then you are largely detached from the outer world. Us versus them gets created. Is this very clear? So the large integration does not take place if ghettos are getting created. Is this clear for everyone? Ghettoization. Then arena of contradiction and conflict. So basically what we discussed so far was the functions, dysfunctions. Then we talked about the disintegration and the reintegration, that is life cycle of a joint family, which I have discussed pretty much in detail. We discussed why disintegration is happening. So a common thought process हमने mind में रखा, that was with respect to migration. And then we said that how all the factors which has caused migration, for example, whether it was the social factor or the economic factor. So agriculture distress, population pressure is increasing, lack of alternative employment opportunity, decline in village industry, lack of basic infrastructure, or the rigid primordial identities in the society as the basis of distribution of resources, low status of women, then globalization, industrialization, urbanization, modern value system, higher status of women, better infrastructure, higher standard of living, better quality of life. ये सारे पॉइंट्स हमने डिस्कस करे हैं. Is that clear? Then we also talked about the land reforms wala concept, that is the historical aspect why disintegration might have taken place. Then we discussed about the reintegration, जिसमें हमने chain migration का concept we have talked about. Not only the chain migration concept, the child rearing in the dual career family, we did talk about that. Then feeling of nativism, then industrialization. Then remember that concept, it is the joint household which is getting disintegrated and not the joint family, because abhi bhi ritual cooperation or performance of ceremony rituals are still being performed, financial physical obligations are still being provided. So हमने वो सब डिस्कस किया है. ठीक है ना. तो उसके बाद हमने बात करी लास्ट टॉपिक, इंपैक्ट ऑफ ग्लोबलाइजेशन ऑन जॉइंट फैमिली. वी डिस्कस द इंपैक्ट फ्रॉम 3 broad parameters: structure of joint family, functions of joint family, and interpersonal relations in the joint family. Now you need to tell me, so far, is there anything that you've not understood? Let me just see. भैया आज रिस्पॉन्ड पोर्टल बंद मत होना बस. Pushpendra, polygamy and monogamy is a form of marriage. But how does family is formed? Family consists of those by means of the people who are united by ties of blood, marriage and adoption, right? ठीक है ना? So obviously it is the marriage which is polygamous or monogamous. But it is the marriage which results into formation of a family, if you understand what we mean. Okay? Now somebody was asking that is Vision IS material sufficient, because whatever I'm teaching, it's not there. That is why I'm teaching. नहीं, Vision IS material is not sufficient. Yes, एक बात समझो. We have to provide that material to the large section of students who are not able to join the classes due to some or the other factors. ठीक है ना? तो उनके लिए एक material हमने create कर दिया है और उनको provide करा दिया है. For you, you are not supposed to go through that material. Whatever I'm teaching in the class, you have to follow that. You have to make your notes. You have to follow. You have to be paying attention in the class. अगर एक बात, on a very serious note, अगर हमको ये लगता है कि थोड़ा जनरल है सोसाइटी और घर बैठ के 4 पन्ने पढ़ने से या वो जो 50 पेजेस का मटेरियल है वो पढ़ने से सोसाइटी के क्वेश्चन आंसर हो जाएंगे, तो ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं होगा. ट्रस्ट मी, ऐसा नहीं होगा. राइट? सो आई एम नॉट ट्राइंग टू स्केयर यू, आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू गिव यू द रियलिटी चेक. अभी भी मैं ओपन सेशन लेकर आई हूं एंड आई नो कि देयर हैव बीन सो मेनी क्वेश्चंस व्हिच आर आस्क्ड फ्रॉम दीज एरियाज. प्लीज पे अटेंशन. इज दैट, अब जैसे इस बार का एक क्वेश्चन आया था, हाउ इंडिया इज मेंटेनिंग कंटिन्यूटी इन द ट्रेडिशनल सोशल वैल्यूज, कौन सी ट्रेडिशनल सोशल वैल्यूज हमें पढ़ाई जाती हैं और कहां पढ़ाई जाती हैं, कहीं नहीं। लेकिन पहली क्लास में वी डिड टॉक अबाउट रिचुअल एस्पेक्ट, हायरार्की, स्ट्रॉन्ग रिलीजियस ओरिएंटेशन, कलेक्टिव एस्पेक्ट एंड पर्टिकुलरिज्म। ये क्या है? ट्रेडिशनल सोशल वैल्यूज है। So whatever we are teaching in the class, just pay attention. That would be more than enough. Every day, whenever we are meeting, 2.5 hours of full attention. Apart from that, just 1 hour at home while you are practicing the questions or you are revising. That's it. And only on those days when we are having the classes. So in total, 3.5 hours. And I think maximum 3 classes in a week. So 3 days in a week. That is all I require from you. And I can guarantee you will be able to answer all the question in your mains, provided you are paying me this much of time. Is that very clear? Can we proceed? So before that, let's start with the questions. So the 2 questions, I think somebody wrote that they are not able to answer those 2 questions. So yeah, fine. It's okay. We'll discuss. Class start होने से पहले there was some technical glitch, so I thought that why not write these answers. So some of you might have practiced those questions and some of you might not have been able to answer the question, so we will discuss. See, the thing is, I have not taught anything with respect to those 2 questions. But why did I ask you to attempt those 2 questions? The only reason was I wanted to know to what extent you are able to brainstorm. क्या हो सकता है? या तो नहीं लिख पाए या लिख लिया या कुछ कुछ लिख लिया, ठीक है ना? सो लेट्स सी. The question was that you have to explain that paradox that on one hand, sex ratio now has increased and has become favorable towards women. That is 1020 per 1000 men. And this is according to National Family Health Survey report number 5. Whereas on the other hand, sex ratio at birth, at the time of birth, which according to WHO should be at least 952, is 929. Right? So that means there exists a paradox that our sex ratio has improved. However, the sex ratio at birth is still remaining a challenge. Sex ratio का मतलब होता है number of females per 1000 males. Sex ratio at birth का मतलब होता है number of girl child per 1000 boy child. Is that very clear? ठीक है. Now the question is, in the body you have to explain the paradox. So the paradox is why sex ratio has improved. So there can be different reasons why overall sex ratio has improved. Why the survival of women has improved. Maybe the safety security against women has improved. Sex ratio improve करने का मतलब है कि now women are surviving for a longer period of time. Life expectancy among women has increased. So there can be different reasons why life expectancy among women has increased. One can be there is better availability and accessibility of health infrastructure. That can be the first point. Second point is there are various governmental interventions which has happened with respect to prenatal care, perinatal care and postnatal care. समझा देती हूँ. Prenatal during pregnancy, perinatal during delivery, postnatal after the birth of the child. So government has launched various schemes. For example, prenatal, प्रधानमंत्री सुरक्षित मातृत्व अभियान. प्रधानमंत्री सुरक्षित मातृत्व अभियान. पेरीनेटल, दैट इज डिलीवरी, जननी सुरक्षा योजना, इंस्टीट्यूशनल डिलीवरीज के लिए. पोस्टनेटल केयर, जननी शिशु सुरक्षा कार्यक्रम. There are various efforts which have been made. Is that clear? देखो, ठीक है. सो प्रीनेटल, पेरीनेटल, पोस्टनेटल. अब तुम सोच रहे होगे, यू मस्ट बी वंडरिंग कि ये सब कैसे हमको स्ट्राइक करेगा. दैट इज व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू हेल्प यू विथ. नोबडी इज गोइंग टू टीच यू दीज थिंग्स. You have to build that thought process that if the survival of women has extended, their life expectancy has improved, क्या हो सकता है भाई? इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ये तो अवेलेबिलिटी है, अफोर्डेबिलिटी है, एक्सेसिबिलिटी है. इट हैज इंप्रूव्ड. क्वालिटी ऑफ हेल्थ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हैज इंप्रूव्ड. सिंपल लैंग्वेज 4AQ, ये याद कर लो. जब भी हेल्थ और एजुकेशन पे कोई भी पॉइंट हो, यू हैव टू रिमेंबर 4AQ. अवेलेबिलिटी, accessibility, affordability, awareness, and quality. These are nothing but the 4 AQs. Maybe they have improved with respect to health infrastructure, and that is why women's life expectancy has improved, or the government interventions, because major reason why women used to die or had to have the disease burden was basically frequent pregnancy, early pregnancy, lack of nutritional benefits. So all of that were the reason, or safety, security, violence against women. So these were the factors why women were not surviving for a long period of time. So if you address these problems, automatically you will get an answer why sex ratio has improved. Is that clear? Similarly, better adoption of family planning methods. There is delay in marriageable age. Now, average mean marriage age in India has increased to 22.3 years according to a government report. So overall age of marriage in India has improved. Good enough. Women is seeking labor market opportunities, and that is why there is delay in pregnancy. So automatically, because of all these interventions, the maternal mortality rate is number of women dying because of pregnancy related complications. So that has reduced. Automatically life expectancy has increased. Impact of various women movements which have been introduced, whether domestic movements or the impact of feminist movements which have arisen in West. Because of this, there is more awareness among women with respect to their reproductive rights, and overall empowerment is taking place. There is effort of the government to ensure their safety and security. तो ये एक जनरल पॉइंट्स हैं व्हाई सेक्स रेशियो हैज इंप्रूव्ड. तो कभी भी अगर ऐसे क्वेश्चन आए तो रिवर्स इंजीनियरिंग करो. कैसे करोगे? पहले ये देखो कि सेक्स रेशियो खराब था ही क्यों. तो सेक्स रेशियो क्यों खराब था? भाई विमेन वर डाइंग. नाउ थिंक विमेन क्यों they were dying. They were dying because obviously violence was being committed against them. Acha, was there any other factor why women was dying? Yes, they were dying because of pregnancy related complication. Why they were dying because of pregnancy related complication? Early marriage, pressure to conceive the child, frequent pregnancy, lack of awareness about reproductive rights, pregnancy related complication because of proper health infrastructure. ये सारे points address हो गए. Automatically sex ratio has improved. Is that very clear? Is it making sense for everyone? ये है लास्ट स्लाइड. 4AQ: अवेलेबिलिटी, एक्सेसिबिलिटी, अफोर्डेबिलिटी, अवेयरनेस एंड क्वालिटी. Is this clear for everyone? ठीक है. Now, why sex ratio at birth is still below the minimum threshold? Overall sex ratio has improved, but the sex ratio at birth has not improved. Why? The reason is girl child even today is treated as a social liability. Why she is treated as a social liability? I have written the point for you. Because the girl child is associated with the honor of the family, with the prestige of the family. And in the absence of safety, security, there is more vulnerability of women getting molested or getting harassed. So in that situation, it is perceived that if anything goes wrong with the girl in the family, it is going to impact the prestige and the honor of the family in the society. It might lead to the social boycott. देखो कितनी बड़ी irony है कि if the girl is being subjected to any kind of violence, so instead of empathizing with her, instead of showing compassion towards her, the tragedy of our society is it might lead to social boycott. It might lead to social ostracization of that particular family. So every family treats girl child as a social liability. Is that clear? Another thing is the girl child is treated as an economic liability. Why economic liability? अब तुमको समझ आ जाएगा. Patrilocal है. भाई after marriage, women is going to the husband's house. Right? And today the girl has the right in the ancestral property of the family. Hindu Succession Act has been amended. पहले था that the girl did not have the right in the ancestral property, but now she has the legitimate right in the property of the family. Hindu Succession Act has been amended. I hope you guys know this. ठीक है? But सोचो, अब she has the right in ancestral property. But the kind of families that we have is patrilocal. मतलब after marriage she would be going to the husband's house. There is a fear of fragmentation of asset. She is treated as an economic liability. Secondly, there is culture of dowry. Again, she is treated as an economic liability. ठीक है? Then, low status of girl child. Why there is low status of girl child? Because of patrilineality. Our families are patrilineal. Your lineage is traced from your father's side. So, if you don't have a son, your lineage cannot be carried forward. That is what is the arrangement of the family in our society. आपका वंश खत्म हो जाएगा if you don't have a boy child, because you are tracing your lineage from your father's side. You need to have a son to carry forward your lineage, and this is the reason why the status of girl child is low in the society. Then there has been government effort in order to check the sex selective abortion in our society. PCPNDT Act, preconception prenatal diagnostic test. Prenatal Preconception Diagnostic Test, PCPNDT Act, which clearly says that the technology should not be misused to determine the sex of the fetus and accordingly aborting the sex selective fetus. So that is absolutely prohibited in our society. In fact, this offense is non-bailable and it is cognizable. So it is a very stringent punishments are there, but even then the act is not properly implemented. Most importantly, हमें ऐसा लगता है that if you are educated and if you are prosperous economically, so obviously इस तरह का sex selective abortion और इस तरह का biasness against the girl child would not be observed. See the irony. Irony is the urban educated couple, they have adopted family planning, but within family planning, there is a preference of a male child. So urban educated couples का ये clear है कि let's go for small families. Reason being obviously rearing or raising a large family would be economically very challenging. So they have understood, let's go for family planning. Obviously nowadays women are also working, they don't have time to have too many kids. Obviously that is going to impact their career. So obviously they are also going for small families, maximum 2 children, or even they are satisfied with 1 child. But within that 1 or 2 child, they need to have a male child. So that aspect of your education has not been altered. So what I'm trying to say is you have only been educated in literal sense. The attitudinal change is yet to be seen. So the attitude, the value system is still patriarchal. You still prefer a male child. And why do you have a desire for male child? क्योंकि आपको लगता है वो आपके बुढ़ापे का सहारा है. They would act as a social support system in your old age, because लड़कियां तो पराया धन होती हैं. You must be wondering why ma'am is saying paraya dhan. It's a technical term nowadays. So she is being treated as paraya dhan because of patrilocal families. So it is believed that it is the male child who would be acting as a social support system. And secondly, performance of rituals. Who is going to lit your funeral pyre if you don't have a boy child? पिंडदान कौन करेगा? Periodic propitiation of ancestors कौन करेगा? Because the boy child, because he is carrying forward your lineage. So that is why there is a desire for male child. On the contrary, it is the same urban educated couples or the people who have money, they are actually misusing the technology for sex selective abortion. So because of all these factors, sex ratio at birth still remains a challenge to be addressed in Indian society. As a result, while concluding the answer, you can suggest few measures and then you can conclude. Is that clear? See, you have created infrastructure, you have created laws, you have created all possible schemes, Beti Bachao, Beti पढ़ाओ, ठीक है. देन आप ये सारी सुकन्या समृद्धि योजना. सो देयर आर वेरियस स्कीम्स विच हैव बीन इंट्रोड्यूस्ड इन ऑर्डर टू इंप्रूव द स्टेटस ऑफ गर्ल्स इन द सोसाइटी. बट कुछ हो नहीं रहा है. ऐसा नहीं है कि कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा है, बट स्टिल इट इज अ मेजर चैलेंज टू बी रिमेन. तो ओवरऑल जब हमें कंक्लूड करना है, व्हाट वी कैन से इज दैट यू आर क्रिएटिंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, यू आर क्रिएटिंग लॉज, बट व्हाट यू हैव फेल्ड टू चेंज is the value system in the society. This value system needs to undergo a change, for which gender sensitization, for which cultivating gender equality norms, for which ensuring women safety. These steps have to be taken on an urgent basis. Is this clear for everyone? Is the answer to the question clear? Is there anything that you have not understood? कुछ भी नहीं समझ आया हो तो प्लीज पूछ लेना. आई विल प्रोसीड आफ्टर दैट. हाँ विजय, नेचुरली भी है. इसीलिए WHO ने थ्रेशोल्ड रखा है 952 का, इसीलिए रखा है नेचुरली. बट इतना नहीं है कि 929 हो. और ये भी ट्रस्ट मी, नेशनल फैमिली हेल्थ सर्वे की रिपोर्ट है जो 929 दिखा भी रहा है. जब ये सेंसस की रिपोर्ट आएगी ऑटोमेटिकली ये कम हो जाएगा, क्योंकि इनका सैंपल सर्वे बहुत छोटा होता है. इज दिस वेरी क्लियर फॉर एवरीवन? Can we proceed? See, again, I'm putting a disclaimer. Did you understand the overall structure of the answer? You can add more points to it. Absolutely no issues. Okay. Overall, the answer should look like this. Okay. There is one more question which is supposed to be discussed. That is the sex ratio among tribes and caste. But before I discuss this question with you, I'll first start with caste as a class, क्योंकि मुझे पता है कि आपको कहां confusion होगा. So let me start with caste as a class and then I will discuss this question with you. ठीक है? 1 मिनट में बस आपका response portal देख लूं. Then I'll proceed. बिल्कुल, लाइफ एक्सपेक्टेंसी इज इन फेवर ऑफ विमेन एंड ओवरऑल यू कैन राइट. स्निग्धा, माई आंसर डोंट लुक लाइक वॉट यू रिटन. आई हैव डिफरेंट पॉइंट्स फॉर द फर्स्ट पार्ट. कोई बात नहीं स्निग्धा, इट्स ओके. टेल मी व्हाट आर योर पॉइंट्स. टेल मी व्हाट आर योर पॉइंट्स. टेल मी व्हाट आर योर पॉइंट्स. सी, सब्जेक्टिव पेपर है बच्चे, जब तक पॉइंट्स करेक्ट है तब तक सही है. So whatever you have written, एक बार मुझे response portal पे दिखा दो. I'll just verify whether the points you've written is correct or not. Again I am saying, मैंने इसलिए डिस्कस कर लिया क्योंकि मुझे चाहिए था, बहुत सारे ऐसे स्टूडेंट्स होंगे जिनको बिल्कुल आइडिया नहीं आ रहा होगा कि how to approach such questions. इसलिए I have given you a detailed answer. Otherwise, there is too much of subjectivity. You can write your own set of answers. If you have written something different, just write it on the response portal. I'll go through it. ठीक है? Let's start with the fresh topic, that is caste system. Concept of caste models of caste system, features of caste system, transformation of caste system, role of caste in politics and contemporary issues. With respect to contemporary issues, what we are going to discuss is, I'm writing it here, reservation, dominant caste issue, Dalit capitalism, we can also talk about violence against Dalit. There is one topic, Dalit movement, which I'll discuss when I'm teaching you post-independence, because in post-independence there is a topic, social movements in India. Fine, Snigdha. If you've written this point, then also see, impact of various women movements. Women movement does not necessarily mean that it has to be started through women or there has to be a dharna. Social media is also a platform through which awareness generation happens with respect to reproductive rights, with respect to overall empowerment. Absolutely, you can write. Okay? Caste system, these are the contemporary issues which I'm going to discuss with you. Reservation, dominant caste issue, Dalit capitalism, violence against Dalit. White points come under this contemporary issues. Is this clear? Dominant caste issue. Let's start. Write down the definition of caste system. Write down the definition. Caste system refers to the system of social stratification. Caste system refers to the system of social stratification which consists of hierarchically arranged closed endogamous strata I'm writing all the important words on the screen. Caste system refers to a system of social stratification which consists of hierarchically arranged closed endogamous strata where membership is ascriptive contact कॉमा डाल के लिखना contact is restricted and mobility is theoretically impossible. Mobility is theoretically impossible. Mobility is theoretically impossible. I'll again repeat. Caste system refers to the system of social stratification which consists of hierarchically arranged, closed, endogamous strata where membership is ascriptive, contact is restricted, and mobility is theoretically impossible. And mobility is theoretically impossible. Mobility is theoretically impossible. Now, exam mein you don't have to write such a long definition. I gave you this definition because the entire caste system can be explained through this definition. The first word that is written here is, it's a system of social stratification. Now, what do we mean when we say stratification? See, ab pen wen rakho aur sirf suno. Just listen to me. I'll go slow and just try to understand what I'm discussing in the class. One disclaimer, with respect to caste system, there are too many perspectives which are existing. Okay. We have tried to incorporate the most balanced, most empirically verified perspective as far as caste is concerned. Just try to relate to it. Is that clear? Let's proceed. See, no two individual, no two community in the society are equal. Okay? When these two unequal entities are arranged in layers, one above the other, it is known as hierarchy. ये समझते? No two individual or entity can be same, equal. So जाहिर सी बात है, in a society when they are arranged in a layer, one above the other, that is hierarchy. See? When based on this hierarchy, you have different access to resources, social, political, economic, then it is referred as stratification. Okay? Is caste a basis of stratification in India? Absolutely. You have Brahmins, you have Shudra. They are not equal. They are arranged in layer one above the other. So they are arranged in a hierarchy. And based on this hierarchical arrangement, Brahmins have different access to socio-political economic resources as compared to Shudra. So caste is referred as a system of social stratification. Is this very clear for everyone? You don't have to define the term in stratification until and unless you're a sociology optional student. For GS students, you just need to know that caste is a basis of social stratification. Can I say gender is a basis of social stratification? Yes. Can I say ethnicity is a basis of stratification in India? Can I say race is a basis of stratification in India? Can I say religion is a basis of stratification in India? Yes, it is. So what is stratification? When two unequal entities are arranged in an hierarchy and have different access to socio-political economic resources, it constitutes stratification. Is this clear for everyone? If for your there can be different bases, Anju. They are not same. Men and women are not same because they are sexually different. Biologically, they are different. But when that biological or sexual difference is manifested in the society with respect to their access to socio-political economic resources, then it is gender. Right? Men and women are unequal. They are different from each other. But when that difference, based on that difference, they are arranged into layer one above the other, that is hierarchy. And based on that layered arrangement, when they have different access to socio-political economic resources, then it is referred as stratification. Ethnicity. Ethnicity कैसे एथनिसिटी हम पढ़ेंगे आदित्य, रेस बता देती हूं. ऑब्वियसली द पीपल फ्रॉम नॉर्थ ईस्ट, लेट अस से, they have different access to resources as compared to mainstream society, right? We still have that colonial hangover where the fair complexion we are obsessed with. So often the darker complexion people in our society, which are the original inhabitants, they have to suffer biased attitude as compared to fair complexion. Because Britishers चले गए लेकिन अपना hangover छोड़ गए. We still have that awe towards fair complexion people. So yes, race has become the basis of stratification. Is that clear? Why this caste system is only in Hindus? अरे भाई ऐसा नहीं है. Caste is only in Hindus. Even in other religion also you will find caste system. Even in Muslims also. Ashraf, Azlaf, Arzal. There is threefold caste system. It has originated in Hinduism. Because it is written in your Shastras, Rig Veda, Purusuktaim, that Brahmaji self-destructed himself. So it originated, but today it is not confined only to Hindus. Even in Sikhism, even in Christianity, even in Islam, you would find caste system existing. Okay? Aditya, as far as ethnicity is concerned, I hope you understood race as a basis of stratification. I hope the question got answered. If I talk about the ethnicity, see ethnicity हम पढ़ेंगे आगे भी. Ethnicity is a broad concept. ठीक है ना? अब जैसे ethnic, what is the criteria for your ethnicity? It can be common historical experiences. It can be common culture. So when we talk about common culture, so उसमें religion, language सब आ जाता है. ठीक है ना? तो आप अक्सर देखोगे certain religious people, they have better access to resources as compared to others. For example, हम इस्लाम की बात कर ले. The Muslim community have lack of proper access to resources as compared to other religious groups. Sachar committee talks about it. I am not saying. Sachar committee has established that how among the Muslims they are the most deprived section of the society. तो इस तरह से हम बात कर सकते हैं. तो ethnicity is a broad concept within which all these factors comes. ठीक है? And I hope race वाला you have already said you've understood. Shweta, did you understand? Caste system has originated in context of Hinduism, but it is just not specific to Hinduism. It has penetrated in different religions. Is that very clear for everyone? ठीक है? The first point of social stratification is clear. ठीक? Can we proceed आगे? हाँ, नीचे. अभिषेक, अभी तो मैंने वर्ण और कास्ट पढ़ाया भी नहीं है. I have yet not started. So why are we talking about this? So let me just start. Okay, first disclaimer. Let me just teach for another 15 minutes and then I'll ask you to ask questions and then you ask. Otherwise क्या होगा ना, वो flow टूटता जाएगा. ठीक है? I'll answer all your questions. Trust me, I'll answer everything. Just hold on to your thoughts for another 15 minutes. Let me teach for 15 minutes. I'll answer all these questions. ठीक है? The first thing, social stratification. I'm again repeating myself and this is specifically for Vodnala. I hope I've pronounced it correctly. Vodnala. Okay. So I'm just repeating it once again. I am saying that caste is a basis or a system of social stratification. When two different entities are arranged in hierarchy, hierarchy matlab layered arrangement. So when two different entities are arranged in hierarchy and based on that hierarchy, they have different access to resources, whether social, political, economic, then it is referred as stratification. For example, upper caste people in India has better access to education, have better access to job, has better access to political power, has better access to administrative services. So obviously based on their caste, they have different access to resources as compared to lower caste people. So caste here is acting as a basis of stratification. Is that clear? एक लाइन में लिख लो अगर डाउट है तो. Write down. Stratification refers to differential access to resources based on hierarchical arrangement. Stratification refers to different access to resources based on hierarchical arrangement. Clear? So if there is a system of stratification, hierarchy is bound to happen. Otherwise, there would not be a stratification, right? So hierarchical arrangement is there. So it is a system of social stratification which consists of hierarchically arranged groups. Now let's talk about what kind of arrangement of groups is there. First and foremost, these groups in the caste stratification are closed in nature. I have yet not talked about it, but let's discuss. Let us say you have Brahmins, you have Kshatriya, you have Vaishya, you have Shudra. There is fourfold stratification which is existing within the caste system. Each of these strata, each of these groups are closed. Closed का मतलब होता है no member of this group can leave and no new member can be added in this group. It is closed. It is not open to mobility or movement. It is closed. कोई नया मेंबर आ नहीं सकता और कोई मेंबर उस ग्रुप से जा नहीं सकता. So caste system in context of India has been characterized as innate. You are born with your caste and you die in your caste only. You can't achieve your caste. आप ब्राह्मण पैदा हुए हो तो मरोगे भी ब्राह्मण ही. आप क्षत्रिय पैदा हुए हो तो you will die a क्षत्रिय only. So it is a closed system. No member can enter your group and no member can leave your group. It is innate. By birth till death, from womb to tomb, your caste remains the same. That is what the definition says. Is that clear? Now, in order to ensure that that particular strata remains closed, what efforts have been made? First and foremost, the marital alliances are based on principles of endogamy. Endogamy का मतलब होता है you have to marry within your caste. You can't marry outside the caste. जब आप outside the caste marry करोगे ही नहीं, so no new member will enter in your community. So how am I maintaining the closeness of my strata? First thing is through practicing endogamy in the matters of marriage. Inter-caste marriage not allowed. Second thing, the membership is ascriptive. That is what I told you. कोई नया member आपका caste का part नहीं बन सकता है. You are born with your caste. So the identity of caste system, the membership is ascriptive. Ascriptive is nothing but by birth. Remember the first lecture we discussed what is ascriptive criteria? The criteria or the status which is allotted to you by birth. So by birth you have acquired your caste, you have not achieved your caste. And why we have resorted to this principle? So as to maintain the closeness. Na koi naya member aaye, na koi naya member chhod ke jaye. Is that clear? Third thing is contact is restricted. But there is very strict rules with respect to interaction with other caste groups. Marriage तो एक restriction है ही. Even with respect to commensality. Commensality मतलब inter-dining, having food together, exchange of food. The restrictions are very strict. The upper caste person cannot eat the food which is cooked by a lower caste person. The rules are very rigid. Why these restrictions are maintained? So as to maintain the closeness of the group. And finally, the mobility in the caste system is theoretically impossible. Theoretically को underline कर लो. Mobility का मतलब होता है movement. Upward movement भी, downward movement भी, कुछ भी हो सकता है. So I am saying mobility in caste system is theoretically impossible. मतलब practically it is happening, right? We'll discuss the practical nature later. Did you understand the definition? Manish just asked the team to keep scrolling the response portal. यहाँ से वो चल नहीं रहा है. So बोलो धीरे धीरे थोड़ा सा scroll कर देंगे. So I can see if the students have any doubt. I hope the definition is clear for everyone out there. Can we proceed? Somebody asked me about Varn and caste. Just hold for your thought for some time. I'll just discuss. ठीक है? ये यहाँ से बिल्कुल move नहीं हो रहा है. I think we need to make the change in the system. ठीक है? So the next topic that we have to talk about is the models of caste system. Let me take it on a fresh page. there are different models of caste system. One can be said the Varna model, other is the Jati model. So what you observe in your everyday reality, I'll explain everything. आपको अभी सिर्फ लिखना है. What you observe in your everyday reality is a Jati model. ठीक है? Let me just write, I'll explain each and every term. Let me just read it out for you. I am saying there exist two models of caste system. Initially, the Varn, the caste, Jati, they were used very synonymously. ठीक है? कि they are just the synonyms of each other. Then it was realized that caste system, how it originated, was in the capacity of Varna model. That the entire caste system in our society, there are 4 stratas which are existing: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. And from where this theory has originated, it has originated from Puru Sukt time of Rig Veda, where Brahma ji self-destructed himself. From mouth came the Brahmins, from shoulders came the or arms came the Kshatriya, from thighs came the Vaishya, and from feet came the Shudra. There was no mention of untouchability or untouchables when this concept of Brahmaji self-destructing himself. So this is nothing but the divine origin theory. You don't have to remember these theories. As far as GS is concerned, sociology होता तो फिर आप लिखते, आपको सिर्फ ये कहानी पता होनी चाहिए, ठीक है? Why this Varna conception is known as book view? Book view का मतलब होता है which is sourced from scriptures, something which is written in your scriptures, that is book view. So it is written in scriptures, but that does not guarantee that it is existing in reality. It might not have any empirical validation. With all due respect and with all respect to the religious sentiments, no one has seen Brahmaji self-destructing himself, and Brahmins coming from the mouth, the Kshatriyas coming from the arms, the Vaishya came from the community, from thighs, or Shudra from the feet. ऐसा कुछ नहीं था, but ठीक है, it is written in your scriptures. So from there came the concept of divine origin theory. Something which emerges from the scriptures. There are too many variations which are existing. I'm just giving you one more example. For example, there was a person, Risley. He gave the racial theory. He said Varna means color. So he divided, according to divine origin theory, the society was divided into 4 Varna: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Whereas according to this racial theory of Risley, the society was divided into 2 Varna, because according to him, Varna means color. So the fair complexion was Arya and the darker complexion were Dasas. So there was twofold division. अब theory है यार, ठीक है? But largely in context of India, what we follow is divine origin theory. Is this very clear for everyone? Is it making sense? ठीक है? Now, it was said that Varna theory or Varna conception of caste has distorted the picture of reality. This Varna conception of caste system has distorted the picture. क्यों distort कर दी picture? इसको समझो. Varna hierarchy, as in Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, it was based on division of labor, based on the work that you are performing. If you are performing the work related to education or knowledge, you are Brahmin. If it is with respect to defense, ठीक है, or justice or administrative system, that is Kshatriya. If it is related to cultivation, trade, it is Vaishya community. And if it is serving other three castes, it is the Shudra community. Shudra community were the service caste. They were not the untouchables in the original scheme. So they were the service caste. Okay. So based on what kind of job you are doing, based on division of labor, fourfold classification was existing. Now it was perceived that this fourfold classification based on division of labor has contributed to economic cooperation and social organization. So it was considered very positive, functional for the society. अब आपको realize हो रहा है functional, because it is performing some positive role for society in maintaining cooperation, harmony and integration. So Varna conception of caste system was considered functional, integrative for the society, because this fourfold classification on the basis of division of labor is believed to contribute to economic cooperation and social organization. But is it the reality? No. Caste system is highly discriminatory. Okay. So it is being said, according to this Varna conception, the hierarchy is rigid. There is broad four stratas which are existing. The stratification or the hierarchy is on the basis of division of labor. The objective is basically, or in fact इसमें stratification word use भी नहीं करेंगे, इसमें hierarchy would be a better word, because hierarchy means layered arrangement. So it was hierarchy in literal sense, that there were fourfold layering of the society which was being created. That is the difference between hierarchy and stratification. So यहाँ पे better word would be hierarchy, that here the hierarchy is very rigid. Hierarchy exists in a literal sense कि fourfold classification is existing. Is this very clear? Is it making sense? However, it was being said it is mere a conceptual scheme. It is mere a conceptual scheme. It is not the reality. It is only a concept, but it has played a very significant role. At least common people like you and me can understand कि भैया चार fold वर्ण तो exist करते हैं. अब उसमें क्या क्या वेरिएशन है वो भी हम पढ़ेंगे. प्रैक्टिकल रियलिटी क्या है दैट वी विल स्टडी, बट एटलीस्ट हमको ये तो समझ आ गया कि फोर फोल्ड क्लासिफिकेशन है. सो इफ यू आर नॉट प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर यूपीएससी एंड इफ यू आर नॉट वेरी सिंसियर अबाउट स्टडिंग अबाउट कास्ट एंड एवरीथिंग, सो एक ओवरऑल अंडरस्टैंडिंग है दैट द सोसाइटी इज डिवाइडेड इनटू फोर स्ट्राटास एंड दैट इज Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. So सिर्फ एक conceptual understanding has been provided by the Varna model. What exists in practical reality is the Jati model of the caste, where it says that these four Varna, they are the only broad framework. Within that also there exist various subcaste. Within subcaste also there exists further डिविजन. फॉर एग्जाम्पल ब्राह्मण्स में भी बहुत सारे तरीके के ब्राह्मण होते हैं. शाश्वत ब्राह्मण, सारस्वत ब्राह्मण, उत्कल ब्राह्मण, गौड़ ब्राह्मण, मैथिल ब्राह्मण. सो विद इन ब्राह्मण्स ऑल्सो देर आर वेरियस ब्राह्मण्स, वेरियस सब कैटेगराइजेशन. तो ये सिर्फ एक ब्रॉड फोर फोल्ड क्लासिफिकेशन है, रियलिटी ये नहीं है. रियलिटी में जो फील्ड व्यू है, फील्ड व्यू मतलब इंपेरिकल रियलिटी विच इज एग्जिस्टिंग ऑन ग्राउंड, इट सेज दैट कास्ट सिस्टम एज इट इज प्रैक्टिस्ड it is based on principle of purity and pollution. This is the reality. That in reality how caste system is practiced, it is practiced on the basis or on the principles of purity and pollution. It says that a society is characterized or classified into different jatis or castes based on the characteristics of purity and pollution. And what do you mean by purity? Purity are certain attributes, the pure practices that you are performing. For example, bathing every day, wearing proper washed clothes every day, non-alcoholism, pure vegetarianism, wearing that sacred thread or veneration of cow, or not dealing with those activities which are considered polluting. For example, death. For example, giving birth. Are you getting the point? So these activities, these attributes are considered as pure. So based on these practices that you are performing, you are graded in the society. So the reality may the caste system is being practiced, or the arrangement of the society is on the basis of purity and pollution. Is that clear? Now, with respect to purity and pollution, there are three characteristic features. It says that based on whether you are indulged into a pure practice or a polluting practice, the caste groups are arranged in a hierarchical setup, with pure caste having upper or higher status as compared to the impure caste. Not only that, based on purity and pollution, there exists occupational division of labor. Okay, let me just make you understand. This purity and pollution in itself is a very interesting concept. What it is trying to say is that based on this purity and pollution, there exists occupational division of labor and separation of contact. Now it is perceived, it is said that if a pure person comes in contact with the impure person, the pure person will lose the purity. फिर से समझाती हूँ. एक इंडिविजुअल का स्टेटस, कास्ट का स्टेटस, हाउ इट इज डिटरमाइंड इन द सोसाइटी बेस्ड ऑन प्योरिटी एंड पोल्यूशन. Now let us say you are treated as a pure caste, and because of that pure caste you are enjoying a higher status. Now it is being said, obviously you want to preserve your higher status, you want to preserve your hegemony in the society, and your hegemony in the society is determined by how pure you are. So you would do everything in your capacity to maintain your purity. ठीक है ना? So it is perceived that if a pure person, और कोई rationality नहीं है इन सब चीजों के पीछे, this is how the discrimination was being brought about. The dominant caste wanted to maintain, जो dominant section था society का, उसको अपनी hegemony maintain करनी थी, इसलिए ये सारी बातें आ गई. Is that very clear? So they wanted to preserve their purity. So it was believed that if a pure person will come in contact with the impure person, the pure person will lose the purity. तो इतने ज्यादा रिस्ट्रिक्शंस इंपोज किए जाते थे लोअर कास्ट पे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, दे वर नॉट अलाउड टू एक्सेस द पब्लिक स्ट्रीट ड्यूरिंग द डे टाइम, because it was believed that if their shadow will also touch the upper caste person is going to lose the purity. So during the daytime, they were not even allowed to access public street. They were not allowed to access the resources from where the upper caste person used to access. For example, the same well cannot be used to access water by the upper and the lower caste. Why? Because it was perceived that if you do not maintain that separation of contact, the pure person will lose the purity. Because it was believed that this polluting aspect, the impure nature, is very contagious. So you should not come in contact with them. Socho. In fact, the lower caste person, there was a time when they were asked to tie a vessel around their neck so that their spit also does not fall on the ground. Imagine. So this was the discrimination which was being meted out in the real time. तो कहीं से भी ये social organization या integrative नहीं था society के लिए. It was discriminatory in nature. It was based on principle of purity and pollution, based on which they were arranged into hierarchy, and based on that hierarchical arrangement, there was a separation of contact which was maintained, where a pure person was not allowed to come in contact with the impure person. तो आप अक्सर देखते थे कि villages में जो core village area होता था, that was inhabited by the upper caste person, और जो outskirts होते थे, that was being habitated by the lower caste person, based on the principle of purity and pollution. Is that clear? Not only that, it was believed that every pure person also performs some activity which might be polluting in nature. For example, human excreta. भाई नेचर्स कॉल है ना, वो तो ये देखकर आएगी नहीं, विद ऑल ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट कि अपर कास्ट के हो कि लोअर कास्ट के हो, वो तो आएगी ही आएगी. ना आए तो चिंता की बात है, कॉन्स्टिपेशन हो जाएगा. सो द पॉइंट हियर इज दैट नेचर्स कॉल ह्यूमन एक्सक्रीटा वाज कंसिडर्ड एज अ पोल्यूटिंग थिंग. सो दे वांटेड समवन फ्रॉम द लोअर कास्ट और द पोल्यूटिंग कम्युनिटी टू अब्सॉर्ब दैट पोल्यूशन, व्हिच गेव राइज टू मैनुअल स्कैवेंजिंग. Not only that, it was perceived that death is polluting. Giving birth, that process of giving birth, that is delivery, is considered as polluting. So there has to be someone from the lower caste to absorb that pollution. So in the traditional societies, what used to happen, the women who used to conduct the delivery, the midwife or the dai, who used to conduct the delivery used to belong to the lower caste. Similarly, on the cremation ground, the one who deals with this all the process of death, the cremation process and everything, they are the ones who are belonging to lower caste, because it is believed that there has to be strict occupational division of labor where these lower caste people are going to perform the polluting job. Is that very clear? Is this very clear? Making sense? ठीक है. Now, these are the points which we are going to discuss as and when the time progress. ठीक है. The jati system, which is the empirical reality. आप caste system लिख सकते हो. Jati is a model, caste system लिख सकते हो. In reality, ये जो strict hierarchy है, ये भी rigid नहीं है. Mobility is happening, which we will study. So it is very flexible. And secondly, there exist lot of variations. तो फ्रॉम रीजन टू रीजन तभी तो कास्ट बेस्ड टसल होता है, बिकॉज अगर तो ये 4-fold क्लासिफिकेशन ऐसा ही होता अक्रॉस पैन इंडिया, तब तो कोई टसल, कोई स्ट्रगल होता ही नहीं. But there exist various variation, and we will study as and when the time is progressing, that you will study that there are lot of regional, local hierarchies which are existing with respect to caste system. हर जगह Brahmins dominating नहीं है. Did you get the point? That is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so we will study as and when the time is progressing, because I have to teach other concepts and then this will automatically make sense. As of now, you need to understand that jati, this variation is not very rigid. There is mobility which is practical, which is happening in the real scenario. Is this clear for everyone? Can we proceed? So is the model of caste system clear? There are two models. But what we practice or what we apply in the practical life is the jati model, which hands down is discriminatory. Caste system in India is discriminatory. It is perpetuating inequality in the society. Is that clear? Is this very clear? थोड़ा सा scroll down कर दीजिए ना. आई नो भैया आपको थोड़ा सा टाइम लग रहा है, बट थोड़ा और स्क्रॉल डाउन कर दीजिए, फिर मैं आगे बढ़ूंगी. थोड़ा सा और स्क्रॉल कर दीजिए. एक सेकंड धीरे धीरे. हाँ, नहीं, डाउट नहीं है. आगे बढ़िए, आगे बढ़िए. ठीक है, क्लियर है. ठीक है. हमने क्या डिस्कस कर लिया? मॉडल्स ऑफ कास्ट सिस्टम, फीचर्स ऑफ कास्ट सिस्टम. ये मैं बताती हूं. देखो, फिर मार्जिन ड्रॉ किया है. Question would not be asked from here. Question would be asked from here. But to answer this, you should know this. तो बस एक हेडिंग डालो, फीचर्स ऑफ कास्ट सिस्टम. Features of caste system. These are the features of caste system in general. भाई फीचर्स पता होंगे तभी ना लिखेंगे कहां चेंजेस आ रहे हैं. तो ट्रेडिशनल कास्ट सिस्टम, व्हाट आर द फीचर्स? इनेट नेचर. इनेट नेचर एज इन अभी हमने बात करी थी ना, यू आर बोर्न इनटू योर कास्ट, यू डाई इन द सेम कास्ट. हाँ लक्ष्य, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट हिंदुइज्म ओनली, बिकॉज लार्जली 84% ऑफ योर पॉपुलेशन इज हिंदूज ना. तो हम कास्ट को वी विल रिस्ट्रिक्ट आवरसेल्फ टू द हिंदू क्लासिफिकेशन. बस इतना है दैट कास्ट बेस्ड स्ट्रैटिफिकेशन हैज ऑल्सो पेनिट्रेटेड इन अदर रिलीजन्स. दैट इज देयर. ठीक है. बच्चे, हायरार्की एंड स्ट्रैटिफिकेशन. हायरार्की मतलब व्हेन टू डिफरेंट एंटिटीज आर अरेंज्ड इन लेयर one above the other, that is hierarchy. So hierarchy is a beginning point. ठीक है ना. Based on hierarchy, not always you have different access to resources. जरूरी नहीं है. hierarchy में arrangement है, लेकिन जब based on hierarchy you have different access to resources, देन इट इज रेफर्ड एज स्ट्रैटिफिकेशन। ठीक है ना, तो हायरार्की से स्ट्रैटिफिकेशन आता है। नहीं बच्चे, नहीं नहीं शिवम, दलित इज देयर आइडेंटिटी। Dalit is an identity. Why can't you use it? It is not a derogatory term. Dalit is the identity. It is coined. The term has been coined by Jyotirao Phule. Mahatma Phule, he himself coined the term Dalit. And Dalit was basically used for that section of society which was considered socially marginalized and economically deprived. ठीक है ना, तो दलित इज नॉट अ नेगेटिव टर्म नहीं है बच्चे। दलित इज एन आइडेंटिटी, दैट इज देयर आइडेंटिटी। ब्राह्मण, अब कल तो जैसे ब्राह्मण यूज करना गलत नहीं है, वैसे दलित यूज करना भी गलत नहीं है। आप मतलब समझे, ब्राह्मण उनकी आइडेंटिटी है, वैसे दलित उनकी आइडेंटिटी है। ज्योतिराव फूले ने ये टर्म कॉइन ही इसलिए किया था सो एज टू गिव एन आइडेंटिटी टू दैट सेक्शन ऑफ सोसाइटी विच इज सोशली मार्जिनलाइज्ड एंड इकोनॉमिकली डिस्क्रिमिनेटेड। इज दिस क्लियर? दूसरी बात आपने क्या पूछी, वर्ण जाति। नहीं बच्चे, नहीं नहीं, वर्ण जाति दीज आर द टर्म्स। जाति बेस्ड स्ट्रैटिफिकेशन है सोसाइटी में। मैं बताती हूं क्या यूज, कहां कंफ्यूजन आ रहा है। आपको टर्म्स नहीं यूज करने हैं जो कास्ट कलर्ड रिमार्क्स हो। जैसे आप किसी को भंगी बोलना या चमार बोलकर डेरोगेटरी वे में यूज करना, दैट इज एन ऑफेंस। और अंडर प्रिवेंशन ऑफ अट्रॉसिटी एक्ट अगेंस्ट SC/STs आप ये चीजें नहीं यूज कर सकते हो। ठीक है, तो ये सारे जो टर्म्स हैं, कास्ट कलर्ड रिमार्क्स इन अ डेरोगेटरी मैनर is considered as an offense. But Dalit is their identity. That's an empowered identity. मुस्कान, लोअर कास्ट वालों को इसलिए इम्प्योर बोला गया क्योंकि ये कहा गया कि दे आर परफॉर्मिंग द जॉब विच इज कंसिडर्ड एज इम्प्योर, मीनियल जॉब्स, डीलिंग विथ ह्यूमन एक्सक्रीटा, ठीक है, या फिर डीलिंग विथ द डेड बॉडीज, ठीक है, या फिर दे आर इंडल्ज्ड इन द एक्टिविटीज लाइक बीफ ईटिंग, एल्कोहलिज्म, ठीक है ना, देन दे आर डीलिंग विथ द एक्टिविटीज वेयर द स्किनिंग ऑफ काउ is involved or trading in their skin. So they were performing those activities which were considered impure, polluting in nature, and that is why they were termed as impure caste. शांतनु, अभी हमने पढ़ा नहीं है बच्चे कि फ्लेक्सिबल और लोकलाइज। फ्लेक्सिबल का बस एक मतलब है, चलो मैं बता देती हूं। फ्लेक्सिबल का मतलब यह है कि ये जो स्ट्रिक्ट हायरार्की आपको दिख रही है ना, ब्राह्मण, क्षत्रिय, वैश्य, शूद्र, ये इसी तरह का अरेंजमेंट हर जगह नहीं है। कभी कभी क्षत्रिय हैव बेटर स्टेटस एज कंपेयर टू ब्राह्मण्स इन सर्टन रीजन। जैसे मैं अभी पढ़ाऊंगी, मुझे आज थोड़ा सा समय दो, मैं डोमिनेंट कास्ट तक आ जाऊं तो मैं आपको बताऊंगी कि कहीं कहीं क्या होता है कि डोमिनेंट कास्ट इमर्ज कर गई हैं। सो शांतनु, जस्ट गिव मी 10 मिनट्स, मुझे ना ये वाला टॉपिक पढ़ाना है, मैं इसमें आपको समझा दूंगी। फिर क्या होगा ना, आपको भी समझ नहीं आएगा, यू विल नॉट अंडरस्टैंड राइट नाउ। गिव मी 10 मिनट्स, आई विल आंसर योर क्वेश्चन। अगर मैं नहीं आंसर करूं तो दोबारा पूछना, ठीक है? कैन वी प्रोसीड? ये पॉइंट समझ आ गए। इनेट नेचर, बाय बर्थ टिल डेथ, कास्ट, इट इज अ हायरार्की अरेंजमेंट, एंडोगेमी, इंटरकास्ट मैरिज नॉट अलाउड, कॉमनसैलिटी, स्ट्रिक्ट रूल्स विथ रिस्पेक्ट ऑफ एक्सचेंज ऑफ फूड, occupational division of labor, you are performing the occupation which is attributed to your caste. एक लाइन में लिखो यहां पर, write down, occupation is predetermined, occupation is predetermined by birth, occupation is predetermined by birth, and every caste, occupation is predetermined by birth, and every caste is supposed to treat, occupation is predetermined by birth and every caste is supposed to treat their occupation as religious duty, is supposed to treat their occupation as religious duty, is supposed to treat their occupation as religious duty. Disability and privileges. This caste system is a matter of disability for the lower caste people. Obviously, they've been denied resources. They've been denied respectable status in the society. ठीक है? They have been denied the life with dignity. ठीक है? मैम बट सोशली मार्जिनलाइज्ड और इकोनॉमिकली डिप्राइव्ड तो अपर कास्ट भी हो सकती है। अखिलेश, बिल्कुल हो सकती है, बट हिस्टोरिकली तो नहीं थी ना। अब हो रही है तो वो एक अलग चीज है। और अब क्यों हो रही है, बिकॉज वही हम बात करेंगे कि किस तरह से रिवर्स डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हो रहा है, दैट बिकॉज यू आर प्रोवाइडिंग रिजर्वेशन बेनिफिट्स टू द लोअर कास्ट पीपल, सो द फॉरवर्ड कास्ट पीपल आर फीलिंग इकोनॉमिकली मार्जिनलाइज्ड और डिप्राइव्ड। ठीक है ना? सो दैट इज अ करंट डेवलपमेंट विच इज हैपनिंग, बट लार्जली इट इज ऑल्सो अ मैटर ऑफ योर परसेप्शन। कभी कभी क्या होता है, यू फील डिप्राइव्ड, but it might be that in reality you are not deprived. At least you were not being denied the opportunity. At least you were not asked, you were se mera matlab hai, upper caste were not asked to move in the public street in broad daytime. At least the women in the upper caste were not asked to not wear the upper clothes. ठीक है? At least they were not asked to tie the vessel around their neck. At least they were not being forced in performing the menial jobs. ठीक है ना? So that's what I'm trying to say. I hope you're understanding. I will get to your point, Akhilesh, that in the current scenario, because of the administrative weakness, current as in the past few years, because of lack of proper infrastructure, administration intervention, job opportunities which can serve the need of every section of society, it is that among the forward caste people, they are now feeling relatively deprived because they believe that they have been denied the benefits of reservation. हरिजन और दलित, दलित वर्ड यार ज्योतिराव फूले ने कॉइन किया है, हरिजन वर्ड गांधी जी ने किया था, बस ये फर्क है. Did you get the point? So, Shantanu, just give me 10 minutes. Can we proceed? So yeah, disability and privileges. Caste system is a matter of privilege for upper caste people. It was a matter of disability for the lower caste people because they were denied access to various resources. ठीक है? Then caste councils. Caste councils जैसे कि caste पंचायत वगैरह, जाति पंचायत, खप पंचायत to be very precise. खप पंचायत is nothing but the example of caste councils. Write down एक line में. The objective of caste councils is to maintain the unity of caste and secure the uniformity of rules. Objective is to maintain the unity of caste and secure the uniformity of rules. बेसिकली कास्ट रूल्स, स्ट्रिक्ट रूल्स को फॉलो करना, जैसे कि आप एंडोगेमी प्रैक्टिस हो रही है या नहीं हो रही है, स्ट्रिक्ट रूल्स विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू एक्सचेंज ऑफ फूड फॉलो हो रहे हैं कि नहीं हो रहे हैं, ऑक्यूपेशनल डिविजन ऑफ लेबर इज बीइंग फॉलोड और नॉट. सो द यूनिफॉर्मिटी इन रूल्स, ऑब्जर्वेशन ऑफ रूल्स हैव बीन फॉलोड और नॉट, द यूनिटी ऑफ द कास्ट ग्रुप्स आर मेंटेन्ड और नॉट. दैट इज द जॉब ऑफ द कास्ट काउंसिल्स. इन करंट सिनेरियो, वन ऑफ द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ कास्ट काउंसिल्स कैन बी खप पंचायत. Is that very clear? ठीक है? Can we move to transformation of caste? Write this much. Actually, Vaibhav, it's a very good read. Annihilation of Caste. And if you are a sociology optional student, generally such books, if not in detail, but at least the essence, the overall essence should be read. It's a good book. At least it will give you a perspective that how actually caste atrocities have existed in the society. ठीक है? And there are many of us who believe कि अरे reservation दे दिया है, education तो दे रहे हैं, job में reservation दे रहे हैं, political power दे रहे हैं. Now no longer, Dalits required these incentives, their status has improved, all of that. ठीक है, वो अपनी जगह कि some people have reaped the benefits. But what you've not understood is that there are a lot of people who suffer the social जो मार्जिनलाइजेशन है या जो सोशल एटीट्यूड है, इट इज स्टिल ड्रिवन बाय कास्ट रिजिडिटीज. इन फैक्ट देयर वाज वेरी इनफेमस इंसिडेंट वेयर द आईएएस ऑफिसर वाज बिलोंगिंग टू द रिजर्व्ड कैटेगरी एंड द पियून वाज फ्रॉम द अपर कास्ट. ही रिफ्यूज्ड टू हैंड ओवर द फाइल टू द IAS officer just because that the separation of contact has to be maintained between an upper caste and a lower caste person. So that is the irony. In fact, there was a case study which was asked in ethics paper some 3-4 years back where जो midday meal था that was being cooked by a Dalit cook. So the parents of the upper caste children, they refused that their children are not going to consume midday meal. Why? Because that midday meal is cooked by a Dalit cook. So there has to be a strict rule of commensality which is supposed to be observed, and this rigid practice is still being followed. There are so many incidences where the Dalit has been elected to the post of Sarpanch because of the reserved seat for SC person, but despite that he is not allowed, being the Sarpanch of that area, he is not allowed to sit on the chair or at the same level, he is being made to sit on the ground. So जो आपको empowerment दिख रहा है, that might have happened with respect to getting access to education system, or for that matter job, or for that matter getting elected to that particular post. But largely even today the social attitude is driven by those caste rigidities. That's the challenge. Is that very clear? Is it making sense for everyone out there? Itna likh liya? Remember the first lecture when I was discussing impact of British rule? And then we asked that, the traditional forces of change, contemporary reality or the modern, और मैंने कहा था कि ये चीजें आगे भी काम आ सकती हैं. So this is how you can prepare. Is that clear? So transformation of caste system. So the traditional caste system, it had 3 characteristic features: hierarchy, separation of contact, occupational division of labor. It is based on the principle of purity and pollution. There were introduction of certain forces of change like industrialization, urbanization, modern value system, role of state such as reservation policy, land reforms, universal adult franchise, Mandal Commission report, based on which the traditional caste system has underwent a change. So now let us study what has been the contemporary reality. Now, if you've written this much, please let me know. स्क्रॉल डाउन कर दीजिए ना. Can we proceed? Now, see what happened with industrialization. I told you in the previous class also, with industrialization, there was emergence of diverse job opportunities. And these job opportunities were based on skills. Rather than your caste. So in simple words, with industrialization, there was emergence of caste neutral job opportunities. Is this clear? So industrialization has led to emergence of diverse job opportunities where the jobs are being given on the basis of your skill, not on the basis of your caste. So industrialization resulted into emergence of caste neutral job opportunities, right? Okay. So which aspect of traditional caste system is getting challenged because of industrialization? Now your jobs are being provided to you on the basis of your skills rather than on the basis of your caste. So with industrialization, which aspect of traditional caste system is getting challenged? Now your occupation is not determined on the basis of your caste, but on the basis of your skill. So with industrialization, there is emergence of diverse job opportunities. और बिल्कुल ऐसे ही लिखो. Don't ask me in the end that, ma'am, are you going to dictate? This is what the dictation looks like. With industrialization, there is emergence of diverse job opportunities, which provided jobs on the basis of skills rather than caste. It led to the emergence of caste neutral job opportunities, which directly challenged the occupational division of labor. Which directly challenged the occupational division of labor. Clear? Have you written this much? आप स्क्रॉल करते रहो. आगे. Fine. ठीक है? This much is written. Now, with urbanization, what happened? Along with urbanization, there is a new value system which has emerged. I remember I've discussed this before also. Urbanism, which is characterized by anonymity, heterogeneity. Which resulted into emergence of remember, we have talked about urbanism, that urbanization is a process where you are moving from rural to urban areas. However, not only you are physically moving, your attitude, your value system also undergoes a change. Because the new ideology or the value system which is associated with urban areas is known as urbanism. Now, urbanism is characterized by two aspects. Anonymity. You don't care about the caste, the religion, the race, ethnicity of the other person. You don't care about it. Anonymous living. Remember, I gave you example of metro. Similarly, in urban areas, if you are going to a restaurant, यही culture है ना, restaurant culture, the food culture, you are accessing food from outside. So do you care to ask about the caste of the chef in the 5-star hotel or in a restaurant? Obviously not, you just consume the food, right? So more and more anonymous living is emerging. You don't care about the caste of your neighbor. Before renting an accommodation or before purchasing a house, you are more concerned about the locality. You are more concerned about the accessibility to the public transport or to the school or to your workplace. You are more concerned about the budget, whether you can afford the accommodation or not, rather than being concerned about the caste of your neighbor. Right? So there is more anonymity, which is being the characteristic feature of urban area, which has resulted into heterogeneous living. People from different communities are living together, irrespective of their caste or social backgrounds. Here, more economic background matter, whether you can afford that area or not, rather than your caste background. So can I say because of urbanization, it is the separation of contact which has underwent a change. So the second point that you are going to write, and all of this has to be written under contemporary reality. Under contemporary reality, because of urbanization, there is emergence of the value system of urbanism, which is characterized by anonymity and heterogeneity, which has resulted into secular pattern of living, where your living is not, or your residence is not based on your caste identities, which has challenged the separation of contact aspect of the traditional caste system, which has challenged the separation of contact aspect of the traditional caste system. Clear है? ठीक है? Next. With respect to modern value system, there is emergence of rationality. There is emergence of scientific temper. As a result, it is questioning See, it is not questioning hierarchy. Hierarchy is bound to happen ना. अब हो सकता है कोई आपसे ज्यादा प्रोग्रेस कर ले जाए with respect to education, with respect to job, with respect to income. You never know that. Someone has more political power as compared to you. तो hierarchy तो है ही ना. ठीक है ना? So rationality, scientific temper, modern value system is not questioning per se hierarchy. It is questioning the basis of hierarchy, which in this context is purity and pollution. So modern value system is questioning hierarchy, which is based on purity and pollution. Is this clear for everyone out there? Clear है? Then we'll further continue, या इसी पेज पे कर लें तो क्लैरिटी रहेगी. Role of state. The first role that the state has performed is providing the reservation policy. ठीक है? So because of the reservation policy, क्या हुआ है? Because of the reservation policy, because of reservation, the lower caste person or people have got access to higher education, they have got access to government jobs, they have got access to political power. That means their status with respect to social, political and economic criteria has improved. Right? Remember the first lecture? Ritual status is based on ascriptive criteria. Secular status is based on achieved criteria. So despite whatever was their status in the traditional hierarchy, right, with respect to secular hierarchy, their status has improved. तो रिचुअल हायरार्की में उनका कोई भी स्टेटस हो सकता है, सेक्युलर हायरार्की में तो उनका स्टेटस चेंज कर रहा है ना. दे आर गेटिंग एक्सेस टू एजुकेशन, दे आर गेटिंग एक्सेस टू जॉब, दे आर गेटिंग एक्सेस टू पॉलिटिकल power. So their status with respect to secular hierarchy is improving. Is that very clear? So their secular status, by ritual status तो वही रहेगा. Lower caste will remain lower caste in the traditional caste hierarchy. लेकिन अगर मैं secular hierarchy देखूं, कि अगर मैं secular status की बात करूं, so with respect to the aspects like social, political, economic, their status is improving. At least now they are getting access to higher education, they are getting access to political representation, they are getting access to government jobs. So with respect to the secular status, their position is improving in the society. And why? Because of reservation policy. इतना लिखो फिर बात करते हैं. Write this much, then we'll talk. लिखा है इतना? ठीक है? However, can we say Shivam, we'll talk about it later. I'll discuss reservation separately. We'll talk about that. But the thing is that since you've asked the question, I'll just answer in one capacity. Obviously, it is a time. In fact, I don't think this is my personal opinion, okay? So obviously, you would not going to write this thing in the exam, but generally, I'm saying reservation might be an immediate solution. Okay? And that is what you looking at reservation. That was the purpose also when the reservation was initially introduced, only for the period of 10 years, and then subsequently it got extended. The thing is that now it has become a political tool. So even though you think it is important, as in we think it is important to look beyond reservation, the problem is political leadership is not ready to think beyond reservation. The point is no longer reservation is serving the purpose of social empowerment, social justice, self-respect, equality of opportunity. Absolutely not. Now reservation has been reduced to the tool in the hands of politicians to serve their vested interest. That's more the reason right now. तो जो इंटेंट था ऑफ इंट्रोड्यूसिंग reservation and the way it is being practiced now, it has underwent a significant change. But yes, definitely we have to look beyond that, and we'll discuss when I'm discussing reservation with you. Is that clear? कहाँ थे हम यार? ये point clear हुआ? That however the benefits of reservation did create the potential for improvement in the secular status of the lower caste people, but within the lower caste community also, the benefits of reservation was not equally reaped by all. As a result, it led to the emergence of what is known as class within caste. ये tragedy हो गई. For example, if I have to show it by the diagram, this was the lower caste. Now, the benefits of reservation was only reaped by the certain elites within the lower caste. As a result, it led to the emergence of class within caste. Is that clear? Clear है? आगे बढ़े? Shantanu, now I'm answering your question. I think I remembered your name correctly, so I'll answer your question now. See, the second point which I'm dealing with is land reforms. ठीक है. Now at the time of independence, usually अब इसके आगे और भी स्ट्रक्चर है, शेयर क्रॉपर है, लैंडलेस लेबर है, तो हम वो सब नहीं लिख रहे हैं. But at the time of independence, the upper layered structure was this कि zamindars, then you had rich and middle peasants, you had small peasant. The first land reform which was introduced was the abolition of zamindari system. Now, with the abolition of zamindari system, the maximum benefit was reaped by the rich and middle peasant. They became the owners of the large tract of land. Is that clear? ठीक है. And traditionally, जो dominating section था society का, that was the upper caste, the Brahmins, right? However, with the introduction of land reforms, there was abolition of zamindari system. Because of abolition of zamindari system, these rich and middle peasants, they became the owners of large tract of lands. That means these people became economically dominant. Because they became the owners of large tract of land. So with introduction of land reforms, these rich and middle peasants, they became the owner of the large tract of land and they came to be known as economically dominant section of the society. Okay? Economically dominant. Then secondly, भाई स्मॉल पीजेंट्स इकोनॉमिकली डिफरेंट हो सकते हैं स्मॉल एंड मिडिल पीजेंट से, सॉरी रिच एंड मिडिल पीजेंट से, बट एक पीजेंट आइडियोलॉजी तो सेम रहती है ना, उनके कंसर्न सेम रहते हैं, ठीक है ना. सो बिकॉज ऑफ विच द स्मॉल पीजेंट्स हैव ऑलवेज सपोर्टेड द आइडियोलॉजी ऑफ रिच एंड मिडिल पीजेंट्स. एज अ रिजल्ट दीज पीपल possessed what is known as numerical strength in that particular region that they were habitating. ठीक है ना. Now democracy में who rules? The one who has the majority. And क्योंकि universal adult franchise आ गया था, so everyone above a certain age was allowed to vote, irrespective of your caste, irrespective of your sex, irrespective of your religion, you were allowed to vote. Is that very clear? So the economically dominant section, they came to be numerically dominating as well. Clear है? ठीक है? And because in democracy, it is the majority who rules, they also became politically dominant. They came to access the political power. Is that clear? ठीक है. Now listen carefully, Shantanu. Irrespective of the status in the traditional caste hierarchy, irrespective of their status in the traditional caste hierarchy, they came to dominate the local hierarchy, the local caste hierarchy. Why? Because they were economically dominant, they were having the numerical strength, they were politically dominant, and they came to known as Yadavs, Jats, Patidar, Reddy, Khamma, Vokalingas. They are nothing but dominant caste. So irrespective of their status in the traditional caste hierarchy, they came to dominate the local hierarchy. Why? Because they were economically dominant, they were having the numerical strength, and they came to be politically dominating. So overall, they started exercising social dominance in that particular region. Now, did you understand flexibility? You no matter you whether have a higher ritual status in the traditional caste hierarchy or not, in the secular status or the secular hierarchy, you were dominating. तो flexibility थी. और ये लोकलाइज्ड इसलिए है क्योंकि हर रीजन में ये डोमिनेंस वेरी करता है. इज दैट वेरी क्लियर? इज दिस क्लियर फॉर एवरीवन? Is it making sense? Shantanu, did you understand this? Write down in one line. With the emergence of land reforms, there emerged a section who, irrespective of their status, in traditional caste hierarchy, irrespective of their status in traditional caste hierarchy, became socially dominant due to land ownership, numerical strength, and political power. इसीलिए कहा जाता है कि जो कॉन्टेम्पररी रियलिटी है, जो फील्ड रियलिटी है, उसमें दो तरह की हायरार्कीज एग्जिस्ट करती हैं. एक रिचुअल हायरार्की जो कि ट्रेडिशनल कास्ट सिस्टम है, भाई ब्राह्मण, क्षत्रिय, वैश्य, शूद्र, अनटचेबल्स, दैट इज ट्रेडिशनल हायरार्की, रिचुअल हायरार्की. एक हायरार्की इज सेक्युलर हायरार्की, विच इज द हायरार्की बेस्ड ऑन द एक्सेस टू पॉलिटिकल, इकोनॉमिक, सोशल डोमिनेंस. So now there are two hierarchies which are existing. That is why जो वो वर्ण मॉडल था, that is rigid, but in practice the jati model of the caste system is flexible and it is localized because this hierarchy varies from region to region. कहीं पे कोई कास्ट डोमिनेट कर रही है, कहीं पे कोई कास्ट डोमिनेट कर रही है, कहीं पे जाट्स डोमिनेट कर रहे हैं, कहीं पे मराठास डोमिनेट कर रहे हैं, कहीं वोकलिंगास डोमिनेट कर रहे हैं. तो that is the variation. Is this very clear for everyone? I have a question. What is the difference between farmer and peasant? Anju, peasants may not own the land. That is the criteria. हमने यहाँ बात करी थी ना यार, rich and middle peasants हैं. They are working on the land. They are cultivating the land. तभी तो महात्मा गांधी ने कहा था, the land should be given to the tiller. The objective was not against the zamindars. They were against zamindari system. They were saying that if you are owning the land, then you should work on the land. And in case you are not working on the land, then the ownership should be given to that section of the society who is working on the land. So the peasants may not own the land. Okay? They do not have the ownership of the asset, but they are working on the land. Farmers own the land. तो अक्सर जब मूवमेंट पढ़ते हो, हिस्ट्री में जब पढ़ोगे तो देखोगे जो इंडिपेंडेंस से पहले के मूवमेंट थे ना, वो लार्जली पीजेंट मूवमेंट थे, और जो इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद के मूवमेंट है ना, वी कॉल देम फार्मर्स मूवमेंट, क्योंकि अबॉलिशन ऑफ जमींदारी सिस्टम के बाद ओनरशिप आ गई थी लैंड की. इज दिस वेरी क्लियर? वो लाइन एक बार डिक्टेट कर देना. कौन सी लाइन थी बच्चे? लिखो, विथ एमर्जेंस ऑफ, आई होप दिस इज द लाइन, विथ एमर्जेंस ऑफ लैंड रिफॉर्म्स, with emergence of land reforms, there emerged a section who, irrespective of their status, in traditional caste hierarchy, became socially dominant due to land ownership, numerical strength and political power. हाँ, I'll repeat, Kapil. बच्चे एक बार बता दो, what exactly am I supposed to repeat? ये डोमिनेंट कास्ट वाला कॉन्सेप्ट ना, हम क्योंकि यही डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. आई थिंक यू आर आस्किंग मी टू रिपीट दिस. ठीक है, आई विल रिपीट. आई एम जस्ट गिविंग यू 2 minutes. जस्ट रीड दिस स्टेटमेंट विच आई मेड यू राइट. एक बार ये स्टेटमेंट पढ़ लो. आई विल एक्सप्लेन एवरीथिंग अगेन. कपिल, मुझे एक कंफ्यूजन है. आर यू आस्किंग मी टू रिपीट द कॉन्सेप्ट और वर यू आस्किंग मी टू रिपीट द स्टेटमेंट? I'm so sorry. थोड़ा सा नीचे करना ना, स्क्रॉल कर दो. नहीं, मतलब नीचे एज इन ऊपर. सॉरी, मतलब आई वॉन्ट टू रीड मोर कमेंट्स. जो नीचे अभी नए कमेंट्स हैं वो पढ़ने हैं मुझे. हाँ, और नीचे करिए. आफ्टर दिस कॉमेंट, व्हाट वाज द कॉमेंट? आगे. ठीक है. So did you understand the concept of dominant caste? Next. एक टर्म यूज किया जाता है मंडलाइजेशन ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स. Abu, ma'am, will it help us in optional? Are absolutely, Abu. I didn't want to scare the students. This dominant caste concept is of M.N. Srinivas. Modern avatar of caste is M.N. Srinivas. Then this traditional concept of caste system, this is Louis Dumont perspective. Then this ritual hierarchy, secular hierarchy is M.N. Srinivas. So, yeah. ठीक है ना. So yes, it is you will understand optional better the moment you will see. बस मैं यार एक I'll tell you one thing about my teaching style. See, since there is too much of subjectivity, right? So I want to have credibility in whatever I'm teaching. So whatever I teach, I'm putting this quote unquote, whatever I teach in the class, either it is a theoretical perspective, or it is based on some government reports, or it is based on any analysis which is done in the official documentation. Otherwise, I don't teach. I don't teach you my personal opinion. वो बात अलग है, वो reflect हो जाती है पढ़ाते पढ़ाते, क्योंकि I am also a human. But since I know that you are going, I'm not teaching you just for the purpose of knowledge. Ultimately, our goal is to clear this exam. So I have to be very responsible with respect to the content which I'm delivering in the class. I will not deliver anything for which I do not have credibility. So if I do not have examples, I don't teach that particular thing. If I cannot see that in official government reports, I don't teach. If I cannot substantiate my arguments with theoretical perspective, I don't teach those things. Is that very clear? Because कोई तो आप कैसे, मैं कौन हूं, मैं कोई अमर्त्य सेन हूं या जॉन ड्रीज हूं या who am I? So what is the credibility of whatever I'm teaching? So that is how I borrow credibility. Is that clear? क्योंकि एग्जाम में कहीं भी डाउट नहीं होना चाहिए आंसर लिखने से पहले. तो इसलिए तो आप बेफिक्र होके पढ़ो. दिस इज गोइंग टू हेल्प यू इन दी ऑप्शनल. कृतिका, एज फार एज एंथ्रो इज कंसर्न, तो हाँ, ट्राइबल्स वगैरह में तो ट्राइब कास्ट कॉन्टिनम वगैरह तो आप लोग पढ़ते होंगे, तो आई थिंक वहां काम आ जाएगा. ठीक है. सोशियो में यस, इट इज वेरी हेल्पफुल. सो या, कहां थे हम? Sorry, let's discuss. So yeah, role of state, Mandal Commission report. See, you have studied in your polity, Mandal Commission, the backward classes were given reservation. So it was believed that with the implementation of Mandal Commission, the entire nature of reservation or the concept of caste underwent a change in context of Indian society. In fact, M.N. Srinivas quoted it as, since this is only for Abu, I'm mentioning this, M.N. Srinivas said it was emergence of modern avatar of caste, and what he meant was that before this, the caste was a vertical arrangement. ठीक है ना, and everybody wanted to associate it with higher caste. No one wanted to associate with lower caste. There was a stigma which was associated with lower caste. But with the implementation of Mandal Commission report, there was a new development which took place, which ushered, and that is why it is termed as Mandalization of Indian politics. Caste became an entrenched feature of Indian political system after Mandalization of politics. Because now after this, there was no feeling of stigma which was associated with backward caste. So instead of vertical arrangement, there is horizontal competition which is happening between different castes for the backward status without any feeling of stigma. अब वही लोग जिन्होंने ब्रिटिशर्स के टाइम पे जब सेंसस हुआ था 1931 में, और दैट वाज द टाइम व्हेन कास्ट सेंसस हैपेंड एंड आफ्टर दैट इट हैपेंड इन 2011, जिसका डेटा अभी तक रिलीज नहीं करा है कास्ट रिलेटेड. सो 1931 के सेंसस में ये सेम डोमिनेंट कास्ट जो आज डिमांड कर रही है रिजर्वेशन अंडर ओबीसी स्टेटस, दे वर द वंस हु गॉट देम रजिस्टर्ड विद द सेंसस कमिश्नर एज क्लेमिंग देमसेल्व्स टू बी द अपर कास्ट, बिकॉज दैट टाइम देयर वाज अ स्टिग्मा व्हिच वाज एसोसिएटेड विद लोअर कास्ट. And now when they are saying that if they belong to the backward community, they would be able to reap the benefits of reservation. So अब वो stigma वगैरह सब गायब. Now these same people, with all due respect, देखो इसको एक और disclaimer दे देती हूँ यार, यहाँ पे कुछ personal मत लेना. अगर आप किसी particular caste को या particular religion को belong करते हो या ethnic group को belong करते हो, don't take anything personally. यार ये fact है, वो मैं पढ़ा रही हूँ, ठीक है ना. So बुरा मानने वाली बात नहीं है कि अगर अपर कास्ट को बिलोंग करते हो तो ये मत समझो कि अरे मैम ने ऐसे बोल दिया, या अगर जाट कम्युनिटी, पटेल, मराठा, पट्टेदार इनको बिलोंग करते हो तो ये मत सोचो अरे मैम क्यों कह रही हैं. यार देखो, मांग तो रहे हैं ना ये लोग रिजर्वेशन, तो वो तो मुझे पढ़ाना पड़ेगा, ठीक है. तो कुछ भी पर्सनल मत लेना. जस्ट ट्रीट इट इन द कैपेसिटी ऑफ यू आर गोइंग टू बी एन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर हु इज गोइंग टू राइट द आंसर्स. and who's going to administer the society. So have a very neutral perspective, neutrality, anonymity. These are the characteristic, non-partisan attitude. This is the basic characteristic of an administrator. Try to maintain that. Is that clear? हो गया ठीक है. So the point here is आज जाट्स they were the dominant section बच्चे. They have dominated socially, politically, economically for such a long period of time. But now obviously we will study कि अब थोड़े से चेंजेस आ गए हैं, इकोनॉमिक बैकवर्डनेस आ गई है, एग्रीकल्चर उतना थ्राइविंग नहीं रह गया. सो एज अ रिजल्ट नाउ दे आर डिमांडिंग रिजर्वेशन अंडर ओबीसी स्टेटस. So now they don't have that fear of getting a stigma associated because of the backward status. Now in fact they are competing with each other for backward status. Tum kahan backward? I am more backward. Is that clear? So imagine the Patidars, the Reddys, the Khammas, the Vokalingas, these Jats, they are demanding reservation under OBC status. So after Mandal Commission's report's implementation, this has underwent a change. Is that very clear? So it has resulted into emergence of a new structure known as modern avatar of caste. Is this clear for everyone? ठीक है, आगे बढ़े. एक लाइन लिखो, write down one line. Although caste has been dislodged from religious domain, although caste has been dislodged from religious domain due to industrialization, urbanization, modern value system. Although caste has been dislodged from religious domain due to industrialization, urbanization, modern value system, however, it has entered the consciousness of the people. It has entered the consciousness of the people. It has entered the consciousness of the people, especially during electoral politics. Especially during electoral politics. Especially during electoral politics. This creates, नहीं ये लिखना नहीं. This creates the ground for the next topic, that is role of caste in politics. Clear है? अरे न्यूमेरिकल स्ट्रेंथ मतलब बच्चे नंबर. आशीष नंबर कैसे आपको मेजॉरिटी मिलेगी? अगर नंबर ऑफ इज ऑन योर साइड ना, तभी तो दे विल वोट फॉर यू. सो यू विल गेट एक्सेस टू पॉलिटिकल पावर. ठीक है ना? इज दिस क्लियर? आगे बढ़े. यार किसी ने ना एक सवाल पूछा था, आई थिंक वो जब मैं स्क्रॉल कर रही थी, कि क्यों लोअर कास्ट पीपल आर अबाइडिंग बाय द कास्ट सिस्टम. आई थिंक समवेयर सम क्वेश्चन वॉज देयर. अब मुझे एग्जैक्टली क्वेश्चन याद नहीं आ रहा है. इट वॉज गेटिंग स्क्रोल सो आई सॉ समवेयर. जिसने भी पूछा था दोबारा पूछ सकते हो क्या? अगर ठीक है, इफ आई हैव इंटरप्रेटेड योर क्वेश्चन करेक्टली, सो आई थिंक यू वर आस्किंग कि व्हेन कास्ट सिस्टम इज सो डिस्क्रिमिनेटरी इन नेचर, देन व्हाई लोअर कास्ट पीपल आर अबाइडिंग. यही था ना? एक सेकेंड जस्ट थोड़ा और करिए नीचे. नहीं अभी नहीं आ रहा, थोड़ा और नीचे करिए. और नहीं, और नीचे. आई थिंक इससे ऊपर था. और एक लंबा सा क्वेश्चन था. अच्छा ठीक है, मैं बता ही देती हूँ. मतलब अगर मैंने क्वेश्चन तुम्हारा ठीक समझा है तो. यार एक्चुअली एक चीज थी कि लार्जली कास्ट सिस्टम ओरिजिनेटेड इन कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ हिंदू कल्चर, राइट? एंड हिंदूज में क्या था, इफ यू रिमेंबर, जो हमने वर्ण सिस्टम की बात, हाँ यही है, यही क्वेश्चन है. थोड़ा सा नीचे करिए, बस यही क्वेश्चन है. What made them to obey strict caste rules? Lower caste adhered to the caste system despite it being discriminatory. So now let me answer this. If I go by the understandings, it says that हमने जो caste system borrow किया, the original model which was written in scriptures, that was the Varna system, right? And it said कि divine origin theory, something, it has a divine intervention, so you dare not question it. Did you get my point? When something is being given legitimacy by the God, As in, obviously, the God himself has not given the legitimacy. That is how it has been interpreted in the various Shastras, right? So the point here is, since you made the other person believe that this is the divine intervention, so you have to adhere to it. So the people belonging to these lower caste have abided by these discriminatory aspect of the caste system, considering it to be their destiny, that this is how they have to suffer. And it was being made them to realize that maybe because of the retribution of the past karmas, that you are born into this particular caste, and since you are born into this particular caste, you have to perform certain occupation, you have to consider it as your religious duty. It is having a divine intervention. You dare not question that, because if you are going to question this, then God is going to punish you, because it has a divine intervention. By Brahma ji has destructed. So you dare not question something which has a divine legitimacy or a divine intervention. That is why for a very long period of time, the lower caste people have abided by this strict discriminatory caste system. Even if someone has dared to deny the rules of the caste system, then I told you, no, caste councils have always existed, persisted. Even today, after so much of education, endogamy cannot be, has to be observed. Honor killing क्यों होती है? Honor killing इसीलिए तो होती है, intercaste marriages होती हैं. चलो honor killing से, क्योंकि क्वेश्चन पूछा है तो एक बात बता देती हूँ. We have nowhere mentioned untouchability till now, right? Now, obviously, in the traditional Varna system, untouchability was not mentioned. There were only 4 Varnas. मैं सिर्फ ये डिस्कस कर रही हूँ क्योंकि मुझे उनके क्वेश्चन को आंसर करना है. So, untouchability we did not discuss. So, basically, जो ओरिजिनल कॉन्सेप्शन था उसमें तो अनटचेबिलिटी कहीं नहीं था. तो कहां से आया? तो फिर एक पर्सपेक्टिव था अनटचेबिलिटी का. That is when rules of endogamy is not being observed. For example, let us say you have a Brahmin community and we have a Shudra community. मैंने एक्सट्रीम्स लिए, ठीक है. It was said that obviously कभी कभी हो सकता है you don't have women of marriageable age in your community and you have to go for intercaste alliances and everything. So they said, although intercaste marriage is not allowed, but if the male of upper caste marries the female of lower caste, it will still be allowed and this marriage would be known as anuloma. वैसे तो अलाउड नहीं है, लेकिन अगर हो रही है तो हम स्टिल इसे एक्सेप्ट कर लेंगे. दिस इज अनुलोमा मैरिज प्रोवाइडेड द मेल इज ऑफ अपर कास्ट एंड द फीमेल इज ऑफ लोअर कास्ट. बट अंडर एनी गिवन सर्कमस्टांसेस, फीमेल ऑफ अपर कास्ट cannot marry the male of lower caste. Such marriages are known as pratiloma marriage, and it is perceived that the offspring, that is the child born out of pratiloma marriage, constitutes the class of untouchability. Theoretical perspective. Is this clear? So even today, whenever there are incidences of pratiloma marriage, honor killing हो जाती है. एंड कभी न्यूज पढ़ते हो या देखते हो, एक चीज हमेशा देखना, ऑनर किलिंग इज नेवर डन फॉर अनुलोमा मैरिज बिकॉज इट इज स्टिल एक्सेप्टेबल. ऑनर किलिंग इज ऑलवेज डन फॉर प्रतिलोमा मैरिज व्हेन विमेन बिलोंग्स टू अपर कास्ट एज कंपेयर टू द मेल. और जरूरी नहीं है ये ब्राह्मण और शूद्र का ही डिफरेंस हो. आजकल मैंने आपको बताया ना कि विद इन अ कास्ट ऑल्सो देयर एग्जिस्ट सब कास्ट, राइट? विद इन सब कास्ट ऑल्सो देयर एग्जिस्ट बाइफर्केशन. सो इतनी ज्यादा स्ट्रिंजेंट है कि अपर कास्ट फीमेल कैन नॉट मैरी अ लोअर कास्ट मेल. इन केस दैट हैपेंस, इट कॉन्स्टिट्यूट्स प्रतिलोमा मैरिज एंड अ थ्योरेटिकल पर्सपेक्टिव सेज ऑफस्प्रिंग्स ऑफ प्रतिलोमा मैरिज कॉन्स्टिट्यूट्स अनटचेबल क्लास. ऑनर किलिंग हो जाती है. इसीलिए भी these caste rules are being observed because of these rigid caste panchayats which are existing or caste councils. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने तो इन्हें डिक्लेयर कर दिया है कि ऐसे थोड़ी ना होता है कि, बट सुप्रीम लॉ अपनी जगह है, सोशल नॉर्म्स अपनी जगह है, ठीक है ना. तो उनके डिक्टैट्स हैव नो वैलिडिटी, बट सोशल कंपल्शंस है, फियर ऑफ ऑस्ट्रेसाइजेशन है, एक्सक्लूजन है, बॉयकॉट है, इसलिए लोग फॉलो करते हैं. इज दिस वेरी क्लियर? मेकिंग सेंस? तो पहले क्यों करते थे? क्योंकि डिवाइन इंटरवेंशन था. फिर क्यों रूल्स फॉलो करते रहे? क्योंकि कास्ट काउंसिल्स थे, स्ट्रिक्ट नॉर्म्स होते थे. उनका वो कहते हैं ना, हुक्का पानी बंद कर देना, सुना होगा ये शब्द, या गांव निकाला, तड़ी पार, या ऑनर किलिंग, तो ये सब चीजें होती थी, इसलिए भी फॉलो करते थे. लेकिन पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस क्यों फॉलो कर रहे हैं, उसका एक रीजन है. नाउ दैट कास्ट हैज बिकम द बेसिस ऑफ देयर आइडेंटिटी. क्योंकि बाय एसोसिएटिंग विद द लोअर कास्ट यू आर एटलीस्ट गेटिंग द access to the reservation policy. So now that same caste system in the secular space is creating opportunities for them. Because it is by belonging to the lower caste, you are able to reap the benefits of the reservation policy. Did you get the point? So that is the thing. Is this very clear? I hope I have answered the question. नीचे कर दीजिए, पूरा स्क्रॉल कर दीजिए. जिसने भी पूछा था, आई एम सो सॉरी, आई फॉरगॉट द नेम. आई होप यू अंडरस्टूड. ठीक है, आगे बढ़े. कहां थे यार हम? क्या पढ़ाना था मुझे? हाँ, रोल ऑफ कास्ट इन पॉलिटिक्स. कितना टाइम रह गया? टाइम तो नहीं रह गया, टॉपिक बड़ा है. हाँ, क्या है बच्चे? शिवली. शिवली, आई होप आई प्रोनाउंस इट करेक्टली. हाँ, जेंडर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन बिल्कुल पढ़ेंगे हम इसको. या तो घबराना नहीं, इसको ब्राह्मणिकल पेट्रियार्की कहते हैं. ये मैं बस विमेन शुरू करने ही वाली हूं. आई थिंक कल नहीं, परसों की क्लास में, ट्यूसडे आई टीच यू एंड आई डिस्कस दिस. ठीक है, आई डिस्कस दिस. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Just give me one more lecture. I'll discuss patriarchy with you and I'll answer this question. How one of the structure of patriarchy is caste system. I'll answer this question. ठीक है. तुम लोग का मन है आगे प्रोसीड करूं? थोड़ा स्क्रॉल डाउन करो, अपनी मर्जी बताओ. डू यू वांट मी टू प्रोसीड फर्दर सो वी कैन डिस्कस? क्योंकि रोल ऑफ कास्ट इन पॉलिटिक्स आई थिंक थोड़ा टाइम लेगा. चलो डायग्राम बना लेते हैं, इतना कर लेते हैं. रोल ऑफ कास्ट इन पॉलिटिक्स, लेट्स मेक द डायग्राम. डिस्कशन आई टेक टुमारो. In fact, this the thing which I was answering question, मुझे लिखते लिखते एकदम स्ट्राइक करा कि जो हम बात नहीं कर रहे थे कि हिंदुइज्म में बेसिकली इट वाज सेड कि डिवाइन इंटरवेंशन है, इसीलिए तो डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर सेड दैट इफ यू रिमेन विद इन द फोल्ड ऑफ हिंदुइज्म the status of lower caste can never improve. Untouchability can never be eradicated because it is rooted in caste system, which has originated in Hinduism. And that is why he asked people to convert to Buddhism. That was the reason, because he believed that within the fold of Congress, that was the party that was existing that time, and within the fold of Hinduism, the status of lower caste people, the scheduled caste, can never improve. And that is why he suggested an alternative development. He said, first you convert to another religion, and second you should seek political power to bring about social justice in the society. That was the reason. ठीक है, ये लिखो, role of caste in politics. Christian missionaries spread the message of Christianity as a reformatory movement against the dogmas within Hinduism. Emergence of English education plus secular language. Third, emergence of educated elite who wanted to reform Hinduism against certain regressive practices. ठीक है, थोड़ा स्क्रॉल करना हो ना ऊपर. हम डिस्कस करेंगे अंजू कैसे करना है सब कुछ. ठीक है, ये कास्ट नोशंस है, इनको कैसे चेंज किया जा सकता है, वी विल डिस्कस दैट. थोड़ा सा ऊपर करना, स्क्रॉल करना. और ऊपर आओ, और ऊपर. थक गए हो? ठीक है, आज ज्यादा भारी हो गई क्लास, कॉन्सेप्चुअली थोड़ी सी हैवी हो गई. इतना लिखो, फिर बात करते हैं, फिर कल करेंगे. चलो, नहीं मानने तो कल कर लेंगे. आज का वैसे भी कॉन्सेप्चुअली थोड़ी सी हैवी हो गई है क्लास. I'll explain everything tomorrow. ये टॉपिक जस्ट कंसिडर कि हमने पढ़ाई नहीं. Post independence, what I've written 3 phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. phase 1, struggle between entrenched caste and ascendant caste. घबराना नहीं, कल सब पढ़ा दूंगी. Struggle between entrenched caste and ascendant caste for power and benefits. phase 2, factionalism plus fragmentation both between and within entrenched caste and ascendant caste. मैं इसलिए रीड आउट कर रही हूं कि कहीं कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा. फैक्शनलिज्म प्लस फ्रैगमेंटेशन both between and within entrenched caste and ascendant caste. Second point, bringing lower caste to strengthen their faction. I'll explain everything tomorrow. Phase 3, ये urbanization है यार. Urbanization, industrialization, modern education system, caste identities will cease to exist. That is third phase. So this is how role of caste in politics we will study. ठीक है. लिख लो तो बता देना. मनी सॉल्व्स एवरीथिंग. अच्छा ठीक है आदित्य, we'll suggest this then. In fact, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar also said that intercaste marriages needs to be promoted. Yeah. But ये tax incentive वाला देखना पड़ेगा. But yeah, intercaste marriages in order to do away with the caste system. One of the suggestion was कि आप दूसरे religion को convert कर लो, जैसे Buddhism. The other was कि political power seek करो, so as to improve your status. हाँ शुभम, एक सेकंड, आई एम जस्ट आंसरिंग दैट. और एक इंटरकास्ट मैरिजेस आल्सो ही सजेस्टेड. अच्छा शुभम, कैन यू प्लीज टेल अस व्हाट लेक्चर्स फॉर एथिक्स एंड देखा पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस, सो आई विल फिनिश इन 6 lectures. I would not go beyond that. 6 max 7, but I think 6 would be enough. And ethics के लिए I think I'll take 8 lectures. Yeah, 8 approximately. I will take 8. फिर और टीचर्स भी हैं, so I think overall 25 lectures का होता है, and that is there. ठीक है. ठीक है, लिख लिया इतना. बस एक चीज देख लो यार, वो मैंने रिकॉर्ड नहीं करी थी तो आई थिंक वो चली जाएगी. स्टॉप, एग्जिट. एक वो जो आंसर नहीं था, बस 5 मिनट. आई जस्ट टेक 5 more minutes. कौन सा था? ये वाला नहीं, ये वाला तो अपन ने कर लिया था. ये वाला क्वेश्चन था. दिस आई विल. ठीक है, जस्ट अनदर 5 minutes. बस 5 मिनट का पेशेंस और दिखा लो, क्योंकि ये मैंने रिकॉर्ड नहीं करा है ना, तो फिर अगली लेक्चर में गायब हो जाएगा. So just see. The question was asked by UPSC that why sex ratio is better among tribes as compared to sex ratio among scheduled caste. So when I talk about sex ratio among tribes, so according to census 2011, it was 990. With respect to scheduled caste, it is 945. So it is quite evident that sex ratio among tribes is better than sex ratio among scheduled caste. Okay? So largely there are 2 factors which are responsible. One is gender parity within scheduled tribes, and second is lack of access to the sex determination technology, which you might have understood it yourself only. Remember with the class on family when I was teaching and I talked about matrilocal, matrilineal, I gave you examples of tribes only. चाहे वो कोटा ट्राइब थी, तोड़ा ट्राइब थी, खासा ट्राइब थी, गारो थी, खासी थी, तो ये सारे एग्जाम्पल्स आपको दिए गए थे. तो पैट्रीलोकल एंड मैट्रीलिनियल, सो गारो, खासी, दे वर द 2 tribes which are common in both matrilocality as well as matrilineality. So yeah, there exists to some extent gender parity as far as tribal communities are concerned. That's one factor. ठीक है. The second factor is, in fact, as against the culture of dowry, in many tribes there exists a culture of bride price, that the family of the bride is given price, as in the money, in exchange of getting their daughters married into the family of groom. And as a result, the girl child within the tribal community is not considered as an economic liability. Similarly, with respect to the tribal community, the labor force participation of women in scheduled tribe is almost double to that in the general mainstream society. In general mainstream society, overall, if you study the female labor force participation in India, it is approximately 23%. 22.3% something. So approximately 23%. But whereas among scheduled tribes, it is 44%. That means economically, women in tribal communities are productive. That means women in tribal communities are not considered as economic liability because they are economically productively contributing to the income of the family. So to a certain extent, there exists gender parity among the tribal communities. That is why sex selective abortion or the lower status of women is not existing in context of tribal communities. Okay? And secondly, since the tribal communities are residing in geographically isolated areas, they do not have access to the modern education system. They do not have awareness and accessibility to these modern technologies, and that is why the sex selective abortion among the tribal communities is less as compared to the mainstream society, because of which their sex ratio is better. Is that clear? But since it is being asked in comparison to scheduled caste, now these scheduled caste people, they are living in the mainstream society. And in mainstream society, caste stratification is existing. I'm introducing a concept here to make you understand. कहाँ लिखूं यार, अब यहीं लिख देती हूँ. So mainstream society में caste based stratification is existing. I'm just removing this here यहाँ से. This is the traditional caste hierarchy which is existing now. This much we have studied. Okay? Let us take the two extremes. Now, scheduled caste in context of the, बहुत आराम से समझना, मैं बहुत आराम से चल रही हूँ. I have to introduce one last concept of the class. Then we will study tomorrow. In the traditional caste hierarchy, जो ritual hierarchy है, ritual as in which is based on your scriptures, the highest status is being accorded to Brahmins in the ritual hierarchy, ठीक है? And the lowest status has now been accorded to the scheduled caste. Now, scheduled caste, in order to improve their status in the ritual hierarchy, भाई secular hierarchy में तो वो reservation के through improve कर सकते हैं, लेकिन अगर आपको अपना status you have to improve in the ritual hierarchy, then you have to go according to those notions of purity and pollution, right? That means you have to adapt those pure practices and you have to abandon the polluting practices. For example, if you give up on beef eating, if you give up on alcoholism, you start respecting cows. Did you get the point, right? You start or you abandon those occupational activities which were considered polluting. Because secular hierarchy में तो आप सोशो-पॉलिटिकल इकोनॉमिक है, लेकिन रिचुअल हायरार्की तो इट इज बेस्ड ऑन प्योरिटी एंड पोल्यूशन ना, इतना हम समझा चुके हैं. सो इफ यू वांट टू इंप्रूव योर स्टेटस इन द रिचुअल हायरार्की, यू हैव टू गो अकॉर्डिंग टू द नोशंस ऑफ प्योरिटी एंड पोल्यूशन. यू हैव टू अबैंडन द polluting practices and you have to adapt the purity practice. Is that very clear? Now listen very carefully. I am linking caste with women here. It is being assumed that the purity of the caste is also associated with the restrictions imposed on the women. I'll discuss this concept in detail later. But as of now, just understand one of the क्राइटेरिया फॉर आइडेंटिफाइंग द प्योरिटी. किसी ने मुझसे पूछा था ना यहां पे प्योरिटी का क्या मतलब है, तो फिर मैंने कहा था कि प्योरिटी का मतलब हो जाता है नॉन alcoholism, pure vegetarianism, wearing the sacred thread or veneration of cow. Similarly, one of the more attribute of purity is restriction on the mobility of the women. So purity of the caste is associated with the restriction you impose on the mobility of the women. That is, you are practicing patriarchy. The more you are practicing patriarchy, the more you are upholding the purity of the caste. So if the scheduled caste wants to improve their ritual status, So they will emulate, they will imitate the culture and the practices of the upper caste, right? And since the purity of the upper caste is associated with the patriarchy or the restrictions on the women, so basically they are imbibing the practices of patriarchy. Is that clear? So among scheduled castes, the status of women over the period has declined because they are blindly emulating the culture of the upper caste so as to improve their status in the ritual hierarchy. ये line लिखो फिर आगे बढ़ती हूँ. Just write down this line. Over the period of time, the status of women among scheduled caste has declined. Over the period of time, the status of women among the scheduled caste has declined because of their blind imitation of culture of upper caste, because of their blind imitation, imitate, copy karna, because of their blind imitation of culture of upper caste to improve their ritual status, ब्रैकेट में लिखो, दिस कॉन्सेप्ट इज नोन एज संस्कृताइजेशन. या आप बहुत बार अपने न्यूज़पेपर में भी पढ़ोगे. दिस कॉन्सेप्ट इज नोन एज संस्कृताइजेशन. संस्कृताइजेशन का मतलब होता है ब्लाइंड एम्यूलेशन ऑफ कल्चर ऑफ अपर कास्ट बाय द लोअर कास्ट सो एज टू इंप्रूव देयर रिचुअल स्टेटस, ऑल्सो नोन एज संस्कृताइजेशन. Bracket close. Scheduled caste are imbibing the tenets of patriarchy. Scheduled caste are imbibing the tenets of patriarchy, because of which the sex ratio is declining, because of which the sex ratio is less as compared to that of scheduled tribes, because scheduled tribes are isolated from this impact. Scheduled tribes are isolated from this impact. Why? Because they are geographically isolated. Scheduled tribes are isolated from this impact because they are geographically isolated. बिल्कुल घबराना नहीं है. संस्कृताइजेशन बच्चे हम जीएस में भी यूज करते हैं और मैं बताती हूं आपको कहां यूज करेंगे. सिर्फ एक मिनट और. हाँ ठीक है. संस्कृताइजेशन हम कैसे यूज कर सकते हैं. आप जब एथिक्स पढ़ोगे ना, मैं नहीं पढ़ाऊंगी, वो एरिया कोई और पढ़ाएगा. सो एथिक्स में भी क्या होता है, अब जैसे करप्शन है, मैं आपको बता रही हूं वेयर यू कैन यूज इट. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि ऑप्शनल है या सोशल, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. अब जैसे करप्शन है, ठीक है. अब अगर जापान की सोसाइटी की बात करें, वहां पे करप्शन इज डिस्पाइज्ड. द पीपल हु आर करप्ट दे आर लुक्ड डाउन अपॉन. Whereas in India, there is Sanskritization of corruption. Everybody looks for that opportunity to indulge into a corrupt practice so as to improve their status in the society. So in our society, there is chalta hai culture with respect to corruption. There is Sanskritization of corruption. That is the major problem. Attitude hi aisa ho gaya. We don't despise corruption. In fact, we are jealous. That person has got the opportunity to indulge into corrupt practices. And you are criticizing him only till the time you don't get the opportunity to practice corrupt activities. I'm not generalizing, but this is the larger trend. Is that very clear? Okay? So in India, where you can use the term Sanskritization, for example, Sanskritization of corruption. Chalta hai culture hai. Is this very clear? Is it making sense? कहीं पे कुछ भी जो इस आंसर में नहीं समझ आया हो. इनफैक्ट पता है अब क्या हो रहा है, एक टाइम था ट्राइबल्स आइसोलेटेड हुआ करते थे. आजकल तो ट्राइबल्स आर ऑल्सो लिविंग विद द मेन स्ट्रीम सोसाइटी बिकॉज ऑफ एक्सेस टू जॉब, टू एजुकेशन, टू पॉलिटिकल पावर. देयर स्टेटस हैज ऑल्सो इंप्रूव्ड. नाउ दे आर ऑल्सो observing Sanskritization, because of which patriarchy has started venturing into the tribal communities also. तो sex ratio has, they have also started resorting to sex selective abortion by misusing the technology. ये आया भी था एक आर्टिकल, I remember हिंदू में आया था. So is this very clear for everyone? तो यही होता है यार, संस्कृताइजेशन है, नेगेटिव इंपैक्ट हो रहा है. Why? Because you perceive the upper caste as the reference group. You believe in their supremacy. So you want to be like them. So you are blindly emulating their culture without even realizing whether that is a progressive culture or a regressive culture. Did you get the point? So blind, तभी word है, blind imitation of culture of upper caste by lower caste to improve their status in the society is known as Sanskritization, because of which scheduled caste have started imbibing the tenets of patriarchy, and because of which the status of women among the scheduled caste has declined. Is that very clear for everyone? Is it making sense? Scroll down करिए, फिर मैं class end करती हूँ. So today we have studied, I hope now you are getting into the groove of the concepts. Even if you are not understanding now also, you don't have to worry. Is that very clear? ठीक है? What we can do is that just revise it, and whenever there is further any difficulty, I'm meeting you tomorrow. ठीक है ना? तो you can ask your questions there. ठीक है? Can I... Is it not just with respect to caste? Kritika, बच्चे, Sanskritization as a concept of M.N. Srinivas was given with respect to caste. But there is something known as application of the concept. So now it is up to your discretion where you want to apply that concept. So that concept can be applied anywhere. Is that very clear? Is it making sense? ठीक है? How to conclude? यही चीज बेटा, इसको ऐसे ही conclude करना है that if you want the development in the society to be balanced, ठीक है, you want it to be progressive, you have to establish the gender equal status in the society. Is that very clear? So the notions of patriarchy needs to be challenged. No matter how many acts you come up with, since you ask the conclusion, एक conclusion हम अच्छा सा लिख सकते हैं और वो हर जगह अप्लाई भी हो जाता है. एक conclusion लिखा जा सकता है, law determine, एक सेकंड रुको, अच्छा conclusion है, बताती हूँ. Notions of patriarchy needs to be challenged. No matter how many laws you come up with, no matter how much rigid infrastructure or the judicial system you create, until and unless you are not able to change the value system in the society, right? Until and unless you are not able to challenge the patriarchal notions in the society, you will never be able to bring about social change. So this is the statement which is given by a very famous sociologist. His name is Andre Bethe. ठीक है, आप ऐसे वगैरह में नाम भी लिख सकते हो, और सपोज करो जीएस में कंक्लूजन देना है तो सिर्फ ये स्टेटमेंट लिख के छोड़ देना, एंड्रे बेते मत लिखना. लेकिन अगर ऐसे में लिखते हो तो एंड्रे बेते लिख देना. ठीक है ना? तो स्टेटमेंट सुनो. लॉ डिटरमाइन, और ये मेरा फेवरेट कंक्लूजन है क्योंकि ये हर जगह अप्लाई होता है. लॉ डिटरमाइंस द डायरेक्शन इन विच सोसाइटी शुड मूव. However, it is the culture which determines the direction in which society actually moves. So you have to challenge the regressive culture, the notions which are existing in the society to bring about changes. Is that very clear for everyone? Clear है? ये बड़ी जगह अप्लाई हो जाता है. ठीक है, और हम देखेंगे टुमारो. आज तो इतना टाइम नहीं मिला, आज हमने 2 क्वेश्चन वैसे भी डिस्कस कर लिए. कल मैं यूपीएससी के 2-3 क्वेश्चंस और डिस्कस करूंगी. बड़ा मजा आएगा उसमें, तुम देखना ये हर जगह अप्लाई हो जाता है. इज दिस वेरी क्लियर फॉर एवरीवन? कैन वी कंक्लूड नाउ? फालतू में तुम लोग का इतना टाइम ले लिया मैंने. चलो तो बिल्कुल घबराना नहीं, मैं फिर से ये डिस्क्लेमर दे रही हूँ क्योंकि आई गेट वेरी पैनिक्ड जब मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि, और पहले तो क्या होता था ना, यू वर देयर इन ऑफलाइन क्लास, तुम लोग की शक्ल देख के मैं बता देती थी किसको कितना समझ आ रहा है, एंड आई यूज टू अटेंड देम। अब तो वो पॉसिबल हो नहीं रहा है, सो जस्ट डोंट वरी। अगर फिर भी कोई डाउट होता है, टुमारो जस्ट राइट योर डाउट्स ऑन द रिस्पॉन्स पोर्टल, एट द एंड ऑफ द लेक्चर आई डिस्कस एवरीथिंग। Is that very clear for everyone? Go back home. You are already in home. So just read whatever we have studied in the class in these 3 lectures and just try to sink in. ठीक है ना? And now I have already discussed answers with you. 3 answers literally we have written it down and discussed. एक तो वो joint family का life cycle और ये 2 question. अब फिर से तुम ये तीनों answers लिखो बिना देखे और फिर देखो कि कहां दिक्कत आ रही है. Is this very clear? So on this note, I conclude the lecture and we will be meeting tomorrow. ठीक है, चलो, bye people, good night, have a nice time. अब भैया एक बार स्क्रॉल कर दीजिए, आई जस्ट नीड टू सी कोई डाउट तो नहीं है ना, एक बार लास्ट टाइम स्क्रॉल कर दीजिए, आज आप भी परेशान हो गए मेरी वजह से, बस एक लास्ट टाइम कर दीजिए। अच्छा, ऑप्शनल क्लासेस नहीं यार, अभी तो मैं अभी मैं नहीं ले रही हूँ। आई वॉज प्लानिंग बट यार मेरे को बिल्कुल टाइम ही नहीं मिल पा रहा है। बट हाँ, आई टेक टेस्ट सीरीज इन विजन आईएएस, टेस्ट सीरीज ऑफ सोशियोलॉजी इन विजन आईएएस इज कंप्लीटली टेकन बाय मी, मॉडल आंसर, डिस्कशन, क्वेश्चंस, एवरीथिंग, राइट। बट ऑप्शनल अभी टाइम नहीं मिल रहा है, नहीं, आई डोंट टेक ऑप्शनल क्लासेस, यस, बट टेस्ट सीरीज आई डू टेक इन विजन ओनली, ठीक है। सो या, बाय पीपल, गुड नाइट।